1.
You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Wait a second. No.
Zippity-doo-dah.
No. Isn't there like a royal coronation music? Oh, is it too soon
For what?
to play royal coronation music?
No idea to what you are referring.
Royal coronation music?
I don't know what you mean.
Is this going to be a Deer Park situation?
I have no idea what you're talking about still.
Andrew, Justin's not
Also,
playing along.
screw you.
There it is. That's the reaction I was looking for. I'm Daniel Hargrove. That's Justin Domashevitz, the co-host, and that is producer Andrew Gross. We've got a lot to get to today. We got local sports, which will be in our second half of the podcast, which you can hear on its own separate podcast.
That's
we also
true.
have the Northwest Sports portion of
Which
the
is
podcast,
now.
Which is now. And we are sponsored by Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
I feel like I really haven't pitched in much at all here, except to squash your initial attempt at a humorous bit.
I understand. I came out combative.
Yeah, what's up
I
with that?
woke up and chose violence today. And so I'm sorry.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
That is the royal entrance fanfare.
It doesn't hurt because literally nothing about that city is royal. Let's get it going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go. Huddle up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye. Don't worry.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
The 7-4 Washington State Cougars will host the 12th ranked Washington Huskies on Saturday in the Apple Cup. Daniel, the Huskies are a slim favorite early in the odds. What is your prediction for that game?
I think this is going to be an absolute battle of a game. Washington State has used its defense to win big games in this season so far. And yeah, it is weird. And UW has giantly leaned on their offense. But I think that it is going to be a close game. And I'm going to say 27-24 Cougs, last second field goal to win it.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. The San Francisco 49ers will be looking for their third straight win tomorrow on Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals. Justin, if the Niners get the dub, they'll tie the Seahawks at the top of the NFC West. Would that change the way you feel about Seattle's better than anticipated performance so far this season?
I think it's going to change the way some people feel about it. The people that have been going, oh, Gino. But not me, because I feel like from the beginning, I've been kind of like, guys, I get it. The Seahawks are in first place. Pump the brakes a little bit. They're 6-4. Gino is good, but he's not the best quarterback in the league. So while the rest of you suckers are out there feeling differently about the Seahawks, I'll be sitting here, not here, but at home, feeling exactly the same.
Not in the woods.
That wasn't the own that I felt like it was going to be when I thought of it.
Wasn't as cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
This week's college football AP poll has 6 Pac-12 teams in it, in the top 25. The SEC has 5, and the Big Ten has just 3. Daniel, which conference is the best?
It's the Conference of Champions, of course. It's the Pac-12. The only reason that Alabama's still in the top 10, if you want to go, oh, well, who has the most top 10? It's because they literally could not pull them out of the top. Alabama could go 5-5, and they'd be like, but every team that beat them beat Alabama. So, I mean, they're got to be at least the 9th best team in the country. Yeah. I'm not going to say the Pac-12's out and out the best. I want to see the bowl games happen this year, but I got to say, the Cougars, who you said were 7-4?
Yeah.
They beat the snot out of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Take that.
Badgers.
I don't even know if Wisconsin's been good this year.
Yeah. They're in the Big Ten, so probably not.
Andrew, look that up if you want, but if not, I don't care. Damian Lillard is set to miss some more time due to a calf injury. Justin, should the trainers be fired for letting him play so soon over after his last calf injury?
Fired seems harsh.
Why was he playing?
But there's other people involved in those decisions, including team, the head of the team, and also Damian Lillard himself. I will say,
I would have handcuffed him to the bench.
When the calf strain happened, which, Daniel, is an injury that you and I have both sustained.
Yes.
Number one, it takes 2 weeks to heal.
At least.
Number two, it is easily re-aggravated.
Yes.
So it feels like the least surprising thing in the world that he re-aggravated this injury. I hope they will make the right decision collectively between the team, Dame, and the trainers to sit him out an appropriate amount of time. It's hard because the Western Conference is good. The Blazers have been good. They're trying to compete now, but it's so early in the season. Give him his couple of weeks. Let Anthony Simons take control of the team with Jeremy Grant for just a little while. See how many wins they can get until you can get a 100% healthy Dame back on the court. Fire the trainers! I changed my mind at the last second.
Yeah, I like it. The NBA season doesn't actually start till New Year's, right?
It depends on how bad you are.
That's true, but
Because if you lose like every game, then yeah, your season's pretty much over. But
yeah, but
I don't think the Blazers are in danger of that.
No, because they actually did pretty well when he was out.
Yeah,
they held their own. That's all you need to do till January is hold your own. So Dame, take a month off.
Yeah,
chill.
Come on, Dame.
Relax. We're gonna need you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wisconsin has been 6-5, or has gone 6-5.
Okay, that doesn't help my argument as
No,
much
it
as I wanted it to. But it's about right. I mean, you got two teams who are about the same in their conference playing each other, so that means the Pac-12 is obviously better than whatever conference Wisconsin plays in.
I think the Pac-12
is Big 10, Big 12?
Big 10. Big 10 is
Big 10
Wisconsin,
West.
Ohio State, Penn
Okay.
State, Michigan.
And Big 12
Michigan
is
State. The Big 12 is Kansas, Kansas State, Texas Tech.
And don't neither of them have actually 10 and 12 schools in it?
No, they don't. They're weird. They're all.
See, so that's the thing that annoys me. People
At
are like, "Oh,
least
you
the
don't know the
Pac
football
has
conferences?"
changed their name as they added people.
Exactly.
They did
Like
that.
they're like, "Oh, you don't know? How are you a sports podcaster and you don't even know which one's the Big 10 and the Big 12?" Well, maybe if they actually had those numbers,
Maybe if they knew
yeah.
how
also
many
not really-
people they had.
Also,
in their
nobody's ever said that
conference.
to me.
It's
but-
also kind of not really fair because then you have things like the Big East popping up and going away, and there's all conference realignment all over the place, and schools switching.
and
So
some schools playing some for football and not for basketball, or
Yeah.
vice versa.
you got Notre Dame as an independent for football, but they play in the ACC for every other sport.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it is very weird.
But I do think, like, when you look at it, the difference between those conferences is those are the conferences that have had the, like, top level champions. So, like, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. I guess you can throw Michigan in
No.
there because they haven't.
No.
Okay, so you
It's
can't
been
throw
too
Michigan
long.
in there. But
Michigan's not been that good for a
because
long,
the only
long
other
time.
school that's really in that conversation is Clemson, and they're not there anymore.
That's true.
But they have been over the last decade.
yeah.
So
I would have thought maybe Ohio State would be in that conversation.
he said Ohio. He
Oh,
said
you did?
Ohio
I'm
State.
sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, no, there's like
I wasn't
basically
paying
three,
attention,
right?
clearly.
It's like right now it's
It's-
Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State.
And I
they're-
would throw Clemson in there because it was recent enough.
yeah, just within the last few years.
Yeah. I mean,
but
Trevor Lawrence,
it's
right?
just hard because like then it like buoys the whole conference.
Are you gonna
like
say
the
buoys
whole
a bunch again?
Yeah, 7 times.
Just start.
The whole conference is
a good
is
knife.
raised like the whole conference is amazing because Alabama's usually amazing or Georgia's usually amazing, where in the Pac-12 not only do you have 6 teams, and I mean just outside of that Washington State is 7-4.
Yeah.
So you have 7 teams that are actually playing good competitive football. 6 of them are ranked in the top 25, and a couple of them are up near that like top 10 area. I think USC is 5 in the most recent AP rankings
really?
after beating UCLA.
Gosh, Oregon State had them this year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like you have more legitimate, consistent competition in the Pac-12 than you have in the SEC.
Yeah.
So
And
why
well-
does everybody act like the SEC is better than the NFL?
Exactly. And the Pac-12 generally beats each other up because they have more depth.
I think
Like
that's
they don't have that top
exactly
end, right?
It's they don't have the best 2 or 3 teams in the league or in the
the country.
country. Yeah, the country, I guess. But they have the most depth. I think consistently, I feel like since I've been paying attention at all, like for 20 years, they've had the most depth consistently.
We've seems
always
like
talked about how they beat each other up.
Yeah.
And then when Oregon is the best one, they're not as good as Alabama. They're not as good as Georgia. But like legitimately in the top 25, I feel like the Pac-12 usually should dominate that.
Yeah. In general, give me the number 5 Pac-12 team against the number 5 of any conference.
Yeah, that's a good way to say that.
You know, like that's kind of how I've felt the last 20 years is our 5th place team could on any given night knock out our top team, screwing up their chances of making the college football playoffs.
And that's usually actually what happens.
Yeah. And then yet if you look at like the 5th best team in the Big Ten, you think they're going to beat Ohio State? Or the 2nd best team in the no, they're gonna get boat raced.
It's just
like
hard
Vanderbilt
because,
or
like,
something like that. Like, give me a break. They're like, oh, they beat all this SEC competition like Vanderbilt.
When the whole system is geared towards you only get 4 teams into the playoff, and all that really matters is who's the best team at the end of the season out of like 100 plus or whatever it is, then when the Pac-12 does get a team in like Oregon or UW, they don't look like they belong with the rest of these teams. And
they haven't had one since USC was really good.
Yeah.
Like since Pete Carroll.
Right.
And they won't have USC and Cal.
So they need to cheat. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, they don't.
And the last closest they came was Chip Kelly, and we all know that he was a terrible person.
But it does seem like I think the writing is on the
Where's he coaching
wall.
now?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Chip Kelly?
Yeah.
Isn't he at UCLA?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because my dad sent me a hilarious text earlier this year because UCLA and Oregon were playing against each other. And my dad said, I actually dislike Chip Kelly more than Oregon. I've never rooted for Oregon before in my life.
That's really funny.
It was really funny.
See, I think that the writing is on the wall that things are going to start to balance out in college football. And I think... Well, the reason is the reason that I first started to think that was when Nick Saban was the one who was out there saying, hey guys, NIL might not be such a good idea. Then I was like, what are you afraid of, Nick Saban? Ooh. So now that the other schools are all starting to above board be able to get money for players, he's like, wait a minute, those guys all used to be mine. Now they're going other places. And I think having Lincoln Riley in USC, who is a proven winner where he came from before, it's going to make a difference. Like that college is in LA. They have a guy who's proven not only to be a really good coach, but also to get quarterbacks to the next level.
But USC and UCLA are leaving.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Dang it.
So, like, I'm 100% with you until the fact that you just said, oh, the biggest chip that the Pac-12 had and might be getting back to what they did, which was a team that buoyed the rest of the conference.
Hey, that's my word.
Yeah. They're leaving.
Well, Oregon's got Nike money.
That's true. But I hate Oregon.
Oregon may end up conference realigning also.
That's the thing. Like, did you say that San Diego State's moving into the Pac-12?
Yes, I believe so.
Have you heard anything else yet? Like of any
I
other
haven't.
team?
I haven't heard anything about. There's rumors about Gonzaga. Gonzaga would probably help basketball.
Well, definitely
right?
help basketball, but they don't. Do they even have a football team?
No, they don't have a football team.
Well, I mean, that's a positive. They can't beat us.
I mean, they
Did you just combine the words plausible and positive to plausitive?
Not intentionally.
Oh, okay.
I probably slurred
It's plausible and positive.
He definitely said plausitive.
Plausitive.
And it confused me greatly. So to round it out, just because I want my teams to be able to go to Hawaii every other year, I want Hawaii to jump into the Pac-12 too. And I would be fine with that. It would. I would be fine with that conference, except for the fact that USC left in football. And so that kind of takes away a lot of what Justin was just talking about that one team that kind of builds up your conference. And then in basketball, UCLA is kind of that same thing, right, Justin? Isn't UCLA? You were just doing something else.
I was trying to figure out how to spell buoy. I'm sorry.
It's really weird. Isn't it like B-O-U-Y?
B-O-U-Y.
Is that it? Or is it B-U-O-Y? It's something stupid.
I'm sorry. That was my bad. What was the question?
It's I'd be fine with a Pac-12
Yeah.
minus UCLA and USC.
Right.
Add in San Diego State and Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
that's
love that idea.
Isn't that a cool? That's a cool Pac-12 conference.
The
only thing that sucks to me is USC is the team that historically can build up the whole football league.
Yeah.
And UCLA is historically the team that builds up the basketball league.
Mm-hmm.
So
Arizona.
Arizona's kind of like that.
Yeah,
They've done it before.
Yeah. But see, then that all hinges on Oregon and UW not dipping too.
Yeah, see,
Because that's
the
other thing is those
Oregon
schools might
and-
be going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, Oregon and UW would have to stay.
Yeah.
Because they could turn into those teams.
I mean, I don't care about USC or UCLA. They could be gone.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind having a California free pack.
Just get rid of Cal also.
And Stanford.
And Stanford, yeah.
I feel like that'd be.
Go to the PNW Hawaii.
Cal
League.
and Stanford seem like they would fit in the Big Ten also. There's
Maybe
all those
maybe
smarty
the
boy
PNW
schools.
10.
I mean, Stanford should just go
Ivy League.
join. No, they should just join Vanderbilt in the SEC.
I feel like Daniel has a little bit of extra hatred for Vanderbilt because it sounds like Vander Yacht.
Vander Yacht from Lyndon Christian.
I don't hate Vanderbilt. I just think that they're
hates
terrible.
He just hates Dutch names.
Except for in baseball. Vanderbilt's good at baseball. I don't know why.
How much did you hate me when I passively defended Lyndon Christian in our
Dude,
group
what
text?
was that? We will get into that more in our local sports pod. That was a punching offense right there. I don't know. I don't understand. Where
You
that
know
was
what?
going.
I would let that happen. I think I deserve it.
Anyway, I don't know. I thought that was some interesting discussion. I mean, we haven't talked about the realignments very much at all, but
We talked about it a little bit, only in the sense that like I'm just curious. So UCLA and USC are leaving.
yeah.
In the event that there's a mass exodus, which seems still possible.
It depends on UW and Oregon.
It depends on UW and Oregon, and the most likely landing spot for them is the Big Ten because they fit in academically with the Big Ten.
Is that where where did USC and UCLA go? Did they go Big 10 or Big 12?
Big Ten.
Okay. So it would be like the Big 42 at that point. I mean, how many teams are up there now?
Yeah, well, they have some teams at the bottom. I mean, they have 10. They have at least 10 teams in their league, and only 3 of them are ranked. So they definitely have some teams they can cut.
Yeah,
realistically, it's
would they cut teams?
No, I don't think they can.
It's probably pretty reasonable to expect college football to be consolidated into like 1 or 2 major conferences that pay their players. That pay their players. And we've talked about how
I want 4
that would be great
that
but
are
there
actually
isn't an
split up
actual
regionally.
there isn't an actual ruling body that can make that happen.
That's the tough part, right?
So they're all just grouping together for maximum money in TV contracts, and it seems reasonable to expect that there will eventually be maybe 3 or 4. But a limited number of elite level conferences that are willing to spend tons of money paying their players and have football as a big business
outside the umbrella of the NCAA.
And then everyone else who's going to go back to actual amateur athletics.
See, that makes too much sense, though.
That's true.
That's way too logical for what is actually going to happen.
Well, because if you want to figure out what's going to actually happen, you have to follow the money, and what leads to the most money is not always the thing that would make the best competitive organization on the field.
Yeah.
So we could talk all we want about how it would be cool if this happened and that happened, and it would make the spectacle of the sport, and it would make the sport more fun. But really what's going to end up happening is these high-powered people are going to get together and say, what will get us the most money?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and
even if it's
that's what I'm
chaos.
talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like you're going to end up with teams, the haves and haves nots or whatever, but you're going to end up with teams that are willing to pay their players professionally and are going to necessarily group together in a major conference to get huge amounts of TV money and everyone else.
Quick question. If that happens, and in general, I don't know if this would happen, but I think the fans of these schools think that they belong in those places, and they have some argument there. UW and Oregon end up in one of the have schools, do you still have the Apple Cup and the Civil War? Or, sorry, they don't call it the Civil War anymore. The Oregon State game, or whatever stupid name they come up with it.
I think
Like, do you still play that game?
I think that's part of the crappy side of change.
Yeah, I
like,
think it's gone. I think that game's gone
I
forever.
do think it's probably gone,
See,
and it'll
I-
suck.
I don't know if
I don't
that-
like it.
Because
I
those
think-
teams are only going to play each other at that point.
Yeah. Oh, only. Because right now...
You don't think... I feel
Well,
that
hold up.
they will...
Right now you have teams... Like, you have Alabama playing Appalachian State. I mean, those two teams aren't even in the
And
same...
it's always as a
So
way
that's what
to-
I'm wondering. Like,
to pad Alabama's or pad the good. So it's what happens is the good teams play Powder Puff opponents.
Yeah.
The Powder Puff opponents make a ton of money from that.
Yeah.
And the good teams get a win on their resume that was easy.
see, so that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it'll become astronomically less likely that Oregon State or Washington State would win one of those games in those situations, but would you still have the game?
You probably would, because it would be if you're looking at it from the
Or
perspective of Oregon or UW.
Yeah.
Who's a Powder Puff, and I'm projecting forward to a future
This is like
where
10 years
where-
from now.
Yeah, where UW and Oregon are paying their players, they're professional,
Yeah.
and OSU and Washington State are amateur.
Yeah.
like they have scholarships. There's going to be this massive difference
Yeah.
in talent at that point.
Yeah.
But if you're UW or Oregon and you're looking for a Powder Puff that'll make money on TV, the Apple Cup is still going to get and the whatever we
Yeah.
want to call the Civil War is still going to get. That's going to be like probably top of the list as far as attracting viewers.
So then Oregon State and Washington State would then become the rivals with each other.
Yeah.
Probably,
And
I'm
that-
there for
that's
that.
how that-
I don't hate that idea.
It would be kind of cool.
I mean, new rivalries. Like it would kind of suck to see the old ones go, but like
It
new
would.
rivalries will form. And
I had not thought about that, and I actually like that. That makes it a little bit easier to consider the end of like the Apple Cup rivalry if there really could be like an OSU WSU rivalry.
Yeah.
And when we asked this
I mean,
question
I've
before,
always hated the Beavers. So.
I liked your perspective on it because like the reality of the situation for like a real diehard fan of a team is not like you're not going to change your fanhood or lessen your fanhood because you're playing in a different kind of
Yeah.
league. Like if they do form this like 40 to 60 team power conference and it branches off outside of the NCAA and you never play any of those teams again, you're not going to love Oregon State any less.
Exactly.
You're not going to root for them any less. If that happened to me with the Tar Heels in basketball, it wouldn't change anything for me at all.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I like that perspective that like fans don't have to panic about this because the fact that your team might play in a different type of league doesn't have to change how much you love them.
Exactly. It will be hard at first.
Yeah.
Because
that
right
transition
now-
will suck.
For weak people. Yeah.
The Oregon State
For weak-minded people.
The Oregon State Oregon game not being the same will suck.
The Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Civil War not being that will suck it. But instead of because it's really funny, like
You said it will suck, but
yeah, it'll suck butt.
However,
But also too, which I heard Ryan Roland Smith say like 3 times this week. I think it's really funny the relationship right now between Washington State fans and Oregon State fans. I've been to a lot of those games.
you're both.
Exactly, but I've been to a lot of those games where Oregon State is playing at Wazoo, and the relationship, the fans are always like, they're like two little brothers of different families, and they're like super lovey-dovey with each other. Almost, they're like, you guys are like, we hope we win, but hopefully Oregon and UW like both fall in an earthquake.
Let's all just have fun.
It really is kind of a fun atmosphere, and it's really funny. But if that changed to like the big rivalry, that'd be kind of fun.
yeah, I could see that.
Anyway, I don't know. We talked a lot more about that than I thought we
Yeah.
would.
Well, that was a fun conversation. So now let's move on to my favorite part of the show.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
What's the noise that Andrew used to make? When he wasn't quite ready for the sounder. Okay, so I'm gonna combine my favorite part of the show with one of your favorite parts of the show. I posted.
Is that?
The mailbag.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's polls.
It's
polls.
I
Poll
don't have
results.
any sound for that.
We need to make a
We need
poll
to make-
song. Like,
I'm gonna keep track. I'm gonna.
poll results.
I-
Poll results. Will Daniel lose to Haley Van Lith today? Again.
Probably. And also,
that's
I
probably
did.
not
yes.
going to be it.
I just also did the thing. No, because in the mailbag one, it's you singing, and then I interrupted with "Yes, the mailbag." I just did that again. Like you started creating a really nice imaging, and I talked over you. I ruined it. Ruined it.
I'll do what I can with it.
Okay,
Great.
I'm the ruiner.
You were fully aware of what you were doing.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right, so Daniel,
Terrible. Bad job by me.
I'm not going to ask you percentages this time. We're going to go
Okay.
straight up. I'll give you the poll. You have to guess, by knowing our listeners the best, how they responded to this poll.
Okay.
First poll.
Like how they responded, like,
Just get the answer right. Whichever one they pick the highest
oh,
percentage
okay, gotcha.
of.
I don't have to get the percentage, but I have
Not-
to know which one.
Exactly.
Okay. Which one won?
Yeah. Which one
If
won?
you
Which
nail
one
the
won?
percentage, you can have extra points.
Oh, Andrew's making up rules.
He's the producer.
I like it.
All right.
It seems safe.
Daniel, first poll question, and I honestly don't super remember where this came from. USC is filthy cheaters,
Oh, I said that they were filthy cheaters.
and your two options are "that's true" or "wait, why?" So, which one did our listeners choose? "That's true" or "wait, why?"
I'm going to go with... I'm going to say it was 60-40. That's true.
Ooh, I'm sorry, that was a terrible guess.
Ah.
67% said, "Wait, why?"
Yeah, that was a tough one. For our listeners, I could see them going either way on that one.
It's
That was,
also a completely nonsensical poll.
I love it.
Like,
well, that's the
what?
best part.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. This is based on something Daniel said.
Uh-oh.
Is watching videos of Trey Turner sliding into home a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon? Your options are yes or no.
Yes. I'm going to say, and for the Andrew bonus points, 75% yes.
You are correct on the answer. You're wrong on the percentage.
Darn it.
57% of people
that's
said
close.
yes.
Okay,
Well,
those
closer.
people, the 43% need to go watch Trey Turner this afternoon sliding into home plate.
Oh, what a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. They will not be disappointed. Also, then imagine him doing it in Mariners teal.
This is an Andrew-based poll question.
Okay.
Have you ever told your chips, "Don't worry, I'll be back for you," when you have to leave the room for a minute?
I voted yes on this poll.
Okay. Yes or no, Daniel?
Although I thought about voting no.
Have you ever told your chips, "Don't worry, I'll be back for you," when you have to leave the room for a minute?
Not gonna lie, I've probably done that in my life. I'm gonna go with 55% yes on this one.
Ooh, I'm sorry. That was a terrible guess.
Are you kidding me?
You're 1 out of 3 so far.
We
It
have
was
a
actually
bunch of liars on our polls.
67% no.
I know for a fact that more of our people have done
Only,
that.
so that means that, what, 43% of our listeners have?
33, Monty math.
I don't know, okay.
Next question.
Andrew lives in the woods.
Based on something Daniel said,
Uh-oh.
should we stop calling touchdowns tutties because it's cringy?
Yes.
No.
Options are yes or no.
I'm gonna go yes, 60-40.
Ooh, you're really struggling.
What
the
is
answer
going
is
on?
no by a resounding 67%.
People like tutties?
You're the only one who hates it.
Even if you don't like tutties, just because it's cringy is a terrible reason to stop doing anything.
That's a good point. But I'm not giving the voters that benefit of the doubt.
Here's another
like
Daniel-based poll. Does Burns sound like a British or English name if you had to guess?
Yes, because it is.
Is it?
I'm 90% sure that it is.
Okay. Well, our listeners disagree, so you got another one wrong. The answer is 67% no. Burns does not sound like a British or English name if you had to guess.
It's not my fault that our fans don't understand Western civilization history.
See, it's funny you say fans because I assume people that watch our show or listen to our show do so because they hate us.
Oh. Wait, why would you listen to somebody you hate?
To hate it more.
Because it's the same side of one coin?
Because you love to hate things.
Then you would still be listening to Brock and Salk if that was the case.
Fair point, but I'm not most people. Next poll. You're 1 and 4.
If you're just listening, the look that Justin and I just shared after he said that was priceless.
What's your favorite kind of pickle? I waited until you were taking a sip. What's your favorite kind of pickle? And the options are dill or baseball.
The sweet pickle people just completely left out in the cold here.
It's funny, though, because when this happened on the show, it took me a million years to get the joke that Andrew made. Because he said Daniel's favorite kind of pickle was a baseball pickle. And I was like, what's a baseball pickle? Anyway, Daniel, what did our listeners say? Favorite kind of pickle, dill or baseball?
That's hard because dill is obviously the best type of pickle, like to eat.
True.
But a baseball pickle is awesome
So tasty.
in younger sports. In the major leagues, like, rarely do you get anything good out of a
But when
pickle.
it happens,
You're
it's-
right. When the major league team screws up a pickle, it's brilliant. And it totally plays into like the chaos ball type of thing that the Mariners do. Which, by the way, one of my buddies told me that anytime a chaos ball type situation happens, apparently Safeco Field plays this Little John song like super duper loud. Did I sound super old there when I said
You
Little
sounded
John?
super white.
This Little John
They
song.
play this Little John song, and they play it at a decibel level that hurts my eardrums. Apparently, it's like, get out of your mind. Get out of your mind. And then if it compounds, they just keep playing it. Like, apparently there's an A's game where they made a mistake and they started playing it. And then there was a pass ball and they started playing it again. And it was just like, oh, whosever job that is.
They should play
That's
that
awesome.
that collaboration between Lil Wayne and 50 Cent. Did you make a guess on this one? No. Is it dill or baseball?
I'm going to go dill. I'm going to go dill, Cotton.
You got one right.
Yes!
You're 2 and 4 now. 86% of people prefer a dill pickle to a baseball pickle.
86.
That's a big win.
Yeah.
Dill pickles are just that good.
Daniel, I realize as I'm looking at it, the flaw in this poll, I said,
Uh-oh.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate the Astros? And I gave 4 options.
Okay.
0, 5, 10, and 25.
I
So
voted
literally
25.
50% of the options that I gave are not on a scale of 1 to 10. Because 0 is not on a scale of 1 to 10,
right.
and neither is 25.
I'm
But
gonna-
I asked you in a 2-minute drill question, how
Yeah.
much do you hate the Astros on a scale of 1 to 10? And you said 25.
Yeah. Despite what I know, if Ian saw this, he probably would have been at 0 or 5.
Well-known Astro lover.
Yeah, but I am going to say 25 was the best answer there.
You are correct, and you're making a comeback. You're 4 and 3 now. 79% of people hate the Astros, 25 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Don't call it a comeback.
That's shaping up to be a legitimate rivalry.
You mean
between the Mariners and the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're not getting worse, and the Mariners are getting better.
Which is weird because we thought the Astros were going to get worse.
Them Astros?
Did we?
We
We hoped.
They were projected to get worse. Like a couple years ago, I heard some people talking about like contracts and all that stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, they're going to get worse." And instead, they just did a really good job of like,
Yeah, it does actually totally make sense because from that original iteration of the team, what are like 4 guys left? 5 guys?
maybe.
So they went
Yeah.
from being awesome with those guys cheating to being awesome with a whole new roster, probably still cheating.
Yeah.
All right, next
But
question.
don't worry, guys.
definitely still
Altuve,
cheating.
I heard some bonkers. I can't remember if it was a national guy, but some guy was like, the booing of Altuve really is funny because he only used the trash can at this percentage compared to everybody else.
Yeah,
That was
but he
proven.
had the buzzer.
And I was like,
That's true.
that's what I think. I think it was Passan. It was the only thing that I've ever disagreed with Passan
Wet
on.
blanket said that?
Yeah, he was like, oh,
He's not
he
the
didn't
wet
use the
blanket
trash
anymore.
can near as much. And he's like, and the buzzer, I haven't gotten anybody to confirm that a buzzer has ever been used. And I'm like, why else would he worry about his shirt getting ripped off?
When he had Instagram posts of him literally shirtless.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense, Jeff.
This
Like,
is
I'm
a big
sorry.
one. This is
Anyway.
a big one, Daniel.
Okay.
Should about a third of Mariano Rivera's saves be wiped off the books because they were probably against the 7, 8, 9 hitters? I feel like we
don't think-
generally get really negative responses from our listeners about this. I got
Yeah.
a text from my friend Steve last week saying, "Hey, I listened to your show. I love it, but your guys' take on closers is stupid."
Well, you know what?
Well,
You're wrong. You're going to understand in probably 10 years.
I appreciate you, Steve. But it's a trend that's just starting, right? Because we still have
We
big
are
name
on
closes.
the vanguard of this.
Yeah.
We were ahead of the curve.
We are
really.
definitely ahead
I
of
don't
the
know what a
curve.
vanguard is, but we were ahead of the curve.
Leading edge.
Got it.
I don't think they should be taken away. That was the rule of the stat.
Okay.
I don't think the stat means that much, is the thing. But the stat of a save, you shouldn't take it away.
It's just meaningless.
It just doesn't mean that much. Like, okay, cool. You got a save with a 3-run lead against the 7, 8, 9 hitters. Great job. Like, who cares?
Congrats, Mariano.
Yeah,
What did our listeners say, Daniel? Yes or no?
they said no. Did you lead me into that by saying they would say no?
Yes, I did. You are incorrect again. You're 3
you
and 5 now.
You're a jackwagon.
I was trying to do the clearly can't choose the wine in front of me thing.
It worked.
Okay.
So what was the percentage on that?
It
So
was-
people agreed with us?
People think 60% yes, they should be wiped off the books.
How many?
There we go.
A real count of how many people responded to that.
4,925.
I'm actually interested in how many people.
I just told you.
I
Oh wait, now it's
voted-
4,926.
I voted that it should, and I'm worried that maybe I'm like a quarter of that.
Moving on.
I did not vote.
Here's another one that
So I obviously would have voted that the same way as you.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure if I would have, but because again, I don't think it,
It is
should
a
be
save.
changed.
It's just not important.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's
Daniel,
a save. It's just not important.
I think that we will know that this trend has gone mainstream when saves stop being a thing that people get paid for. And I do expect that to happen over the next like 3 or 4 years.
I honestly think that Edwin Diaz might be the last person to get a big contract off of saves.
Ooh, I like
He
that.
just got it,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's going to be another one. We'll see. We'll see. That's my prediction.
here's another one that I don't remember what this is regarding.
Does it have Haley Van Lith in it?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Is-
Although I'm a
Daniel's
little-
like on the edge of his seat waiting for the Haley Van Lith.
Yeah.
Is Justin's take too stupid to insult?
I don't remember what that's about either.
It's
I
it's
don't-
talking about saves in Mariano Rivera. Of
Is
some
it?
Sort. Yeah. I
Did
think
Rob
that-
send that in?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And I think Rob's argument was the Giants won World Series and they had a closer. So
Everyone
that means,
had a closer.
I'm like, yeah, everybody had a closer at that point. That's like saying the Giants won a World Series and they had a center fielder.
Rob just wanted to
Okay.
throw in your face that the Giants have won World
I know.
Series and the Mariners have not.
Yeah, I get
He's
it,
a
Rob.
Giants fan.
I get it, Rob. The Giants have been real.
So what do you
good.
think, Daniel? Yes or no? Is Justin's take too stupid to insult?
I think our fans would love that poll, and they
Okay.
would say yes.
Well, you're wrong.
Gosh dang it!
In fact, 67% of people said no. Justin's
I
take
think I'm
is not.
starting to find out that our fans hate me and not you.
Which is
they
ironic
vote for Haley-
because Justin is the one that says screw the listeners.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
And yet, our fans
That just-
consistently vote for Haley Van Lith.
But that just means that our listeners, because they know I hate them, they're continuously trying to get my approval. Next
And
question.
I'm a
that's a
people
good point.
pleaser.
Yeah.
I'm constantly bowing down.
Yep.
Daniel, on a scale of 1 to 10, how offended were you when Andrew called Edgar Martinez Edgar Rodriguez? The options are 0, 5, 10, and 25.
25.
I voted 25.
25.
Yeah, 25 is correct. 74% of people said 25. Nobody said 0.
It was offensive, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I commented on that one.
I want to accept your apology, but I'm just not there yet. Give me a little
fair.
bit of time.
I'll
That's
accept
fair.
it.
That's
I'll accept
fair.
it. I'm a very forgiving person.
Daniel, this is where the polls get a little
Unless
weird.
you're Eatonville, Linden Christian, or any other high school team I hate, then I'm not very forgiving at all.
Here's where the polls get a little weird and confusing.
Okay.
Oh,
wait,
here?
wait a second.
Only now.
Just now?
Next poll. Is Jack Wilson going to be in the Hall of Fame, and do you know who that is? And the 4 options are no and no, yes and no, no and yes, or yes and yes.
No and no.
It's no and no. But it is very confusing.
Okay, I'm going to give you the point on that, even though there was actually a tie between no and yes and no, which means that 40% of people think Jack Wilson is going to the Hall of Fame, or they were very confused by the phrasing of the questions and answers.
No, that's people that didn't, because the second one is, do you know who he is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's people who are just assuming that you're asking about somebody who's going to go to the Hall of Fame. They're just guessing that he'll go to the Hall of Fame, and they don't know who it is.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
And that was
Which is
stemming from Daniel saying, Jack Wilson, is he going to the Hall of Fame? And I was like, who's that? And you said exactly, because it proved your point that I said that.
Who is
Yeah,
Jack
so-
Wilson?
He's a guy. Next
Wait,
question.
Do you not know?
No, I don't know.
He's Brendan Ryan before Brendan Ryan.
Oh, okay.
He was a good defensive player who couldn't hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the Mariners?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I
him.
think
I don't
came over
remember him either, but I
From the
feel
Pirates?
okay with not remembering him. I do remember Brendan Ryan.
Brendan Ryan was better both
Mostly-
defensively and more entertaining, and he had better facial hair.
Mostly, I remember
Craziness.
Brendan Ryan for running first to third on the
Oh my gosh.
bad defense.
We're going to have to move quicker. I've got like 8 more. Okay, you
Oh,
ready?
gosh.
Dude.
Next one, Daniel.
Yep, Jack Wilson came over from the Pirates. Nailed it.
Daniel.
Nicely done.
Next question. Have you ever watched Top Gun, and did you learn how to flip people off from that movie? Your options are no and no, no and yes, yes and no, or yes and yes.
I'm going to go yes and no.
You're correct. 75% of people said yes and no. And you're 6 and 6 now.
Sweet.
Of all the superheroes you could be,
Did you just speed it up?
would
I did.
Obvious Man be the worst? Yes or no? Of all the superheroes you could be, would Obvious Man be the worst?
Yes. No.
No.
No, there's definitely much worse than that.
75% of people agreed. Was Andrew singing an Usher song on the podcast the upset of the week? Yes or no?
Yes.
You are correct again. 100% of people agreed. Do you think Prime Daniel Hargrove sauced a
Here
lot
we
of
go.
people?
So, oh, wait. No.
Do you think Prime Daniel Hargrove sauced a lot of people? Yes or no?
I did?
Faster,
but will
faster,
the
faster.
Listeners know that.
Faster.
Yes. Yes.
That's correct. Listeners agreed by 60%. Daniel,
you, listeners.
you're coming back. You're 9 and 6. Who has more sauce, Prime Daniel Hargrove or Haley Van Lith?
Oh, they hate me. I'm going to say Haley Van Lith.
87% Haley Van Lith. Is almost every Riders fan you know very obnoxious? That's a typo. It's supposed to say Raiders. Yes or no? Quick. Yes, that's true. You're now 11 and 6. This is the greatest comeback I've ever seen.
go.
Which fair would you rather go to, Pacific County or Lewis County?
That's so hard.
That's what she said.
Pacific County.
You're correct again. You're now 12 and 6, Daniel. One more.
Ah.
How much changed at the Pacific County Fair over the last 15 years? Yes or no? Wait, has much changed? Dang it, I ruined it. Has
No.
much changed at No is correct. Daniel, 13 and 6 after being, I think, 2 and 5.
Let's
This
go.
is an amazing comeback.
Woo!
Lightning round of Stump Daniel.
Seriously, guys, though, give me more credit with Haley Van Lith, please.
I need a
No.
commercial break. Can we have a commercial break and then we'll come back and talk about the Mariners?
Used to be good, I swear.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Welcome back to the scrimmage. I'm Justin Damashevitz. Daniel Hargrove used the opportunity of the commercial break to shove some food in his face.
It's so good.
Our producer, Andrew Gross, is also here with us. We are brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz. Thank you for listening. Oh boy, that lightning round of Stump Daniel really took a lot out of me. But I appreciate Andrew speeding up the music to give us a sense of urgency on that.
It helped
That
a lot.
worked out really well.
And I think that it leads into our next segment, which is going to slow down a little bit because it's baseball related, and baseball is slow. So the Mariners,
Whoa.
Hey, there's a pitch timer now.
the Mariners made some moves
Oh, gross.
that are not pitch timer related.
I need a napkin.
If you're watching on YouTube, I apologize that
That's
some
disgusting.
food just flew out of Daniel's mouth.
I laughed, and it was actually like food spittle.
This is actually like sometimes as you get old,
Hey!
you lose control of your faculties, and some stuff like that just happens. But
Oh.
Daniel, I think that this is the segment for you because we're going to start talking about some of the Mariners' moves.
Yeah.
It started out with a bang because
Yeah, it
we
did.
found out early in the week that the Mariners traded for Teoscar Hernandez
Yes.
from the Toronto Blue Jays, which immediately, and they didn't really give up much for him. I know I'm going to miss Swanson a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know who that other prospect was that they gave up. And I think seeing that as kind of the kickoff to the offseason was pretty cool. He's an all-star, hit a moderate amount of home runs, drove in a lot of runs, has a pretty good average, and he's an outfielder. So how are you feeling seeing that guy come into the Mariners clubhouse?
I'm excited. Of the Blue Jays roster, Teoscar is probably the guy who, if plausible, like I love Vladdy Jr., but outside of Vladdy Jr., Teoscar was probably my favorite player on that team.
Hit 2 dingers against the Mariners in that wild card game.
Yeah, he's really good. And from what I've heard, he wasn't that healthy all year. So if he gets back to his, 100% health, if he has a fairly healthy season, he could be a huge, huge improvement. And he's a right-handed bat. Is he right? Yes. Yes, he is a right-handed bat.
He bats and throws right.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. 'Cause
Yep.
For a second there, I was a little questioning myself. But he is a huge right-handed bat. If they don't get Haniger back, it's now okay. If they do get Haniger back, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're still okay either way. And that's what I love about this.
If they do get Haniger back, it makes
Kelnick?
Kelnick's job a little bit harder. That's a good thing from the perspective of a fan.
Absolutely.
And I think we're looking at Teoscar Hernandez, and this past season he batted .267 with 25 home runs and 77 RBI, sorry.
Thank
There you go.
In 131 games. And Daniel, you had mentioned that he might not have been all the way healthy and playing through some injuries, but that made me think, well, let's look back to what he did before. In 2021, he was actually pretty significantly better. He batted .296 and hit 32 home runs and drove in 116 runs.
Yeah.
So this is a guy he was really good this year and an all-star. But if you go back one more year when he was probably more fully healthy, and he's only 30, I believe. So
He's going to be playing this next season at 30, I think.
okay, so actually he just turned 30.
Oh, okay,
He turned
gotcha.
30 in October.
Gotcha.
So he it should be in the prime of his career. A lot of times guys are playing their best ball late 20s, early 30s.
Yep.
And you're bringing him in at the exact time that you want your team to be performing. This is the part of your rebuild where you're making a push to the World Series.
Absolutely. And he only has this year left on his contract, which you could look at it two ways. You could be like, this is kind of a one and done type thing. Or it's like, we're getting this guy when he wants to be his best because he's going to be fighting for a big money contract. And the Mariners have shown in the past that if somebody proves it, they'll go extend him.
Yeah, I really love this way of doing business compared to the idea of just you only get a pick from the free agents that are available and you're going to throw money at the best one available and hope that he's good enough. This way, they are giving something up. Like, it's not nothing.
Yeah.
But you're getting him at basically the cheapest you could ever get him.
Yep.
With a trade. You're going to go at least partway through this next season. And if he's awesome, you're front of the line to sign him to a huge deal.
Absolutely.
And we all want the Mariners to spend money, but you can spend money this way or you can spend money on free agents. And I think that when people tend to be like, oh no, when they hear Jerry DiPoto talk about how he prefers to draft, develop, and trade.
Yeah.
But this is what that's talking about.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yep. The only thing that I don't like about it is I want Trey Turner. Honestly, that's the
I agree with you. That's 100%.
That's the only thing I don't like about it, though. And that's just because I want Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Like, it's not because I don't think that, let's say, they trade for Gleyber Torres, and that's our second baseman.
Which is definitely a rumor out there.
It's a rumor that's been thrown out there.
The Trey Turner rumor is that he wants to be somewhere that's not here. Like, what is the region that he's from?
Somewhere that's not here? You mean like the Pacific Northwest in general?
I think it was an East Coast thing. Like, hey,
did he grow up in Florida?
He's from Florida. He wants to be on the East Coast or something like that.
That makes sense.
He wants to be somewhere that's not here.
You mean not on the West Coast?
Yeah.
And that's
I actually meant Pacific Northwest because I couldn't remember if it was like he wanted to be in Southern California or if he wanted to be on the East Coast.
Well, that's where that's another positive to
he grew up in Florida.
The idea of trading for somebody with a year left. It's basically a rental contract, but on top of that, it gives you that front line. Like, you aren't trying to convince a guy, hey, we're going to pay you a bunch of money. You'll have to come to Seattle. The guy has to come to Seattle. He gets to play with the team. He hopefully, presumably, he fits in well. He likes his teammates. The team's good. And then you're like, hey, do you want to stick around? Which is to me, it sounds like a much easier sell than, hey, you live on the East Coast. You want to come up to South Alaska? How much do I have to? Oh, I have to pay you a lot more, don't I?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's
Fair.
an excellent point to bring up there. As much as I want Trey Turner, who's one of only 6 players to have hit for the cycle 3 times. By the way.
Wow.
I
That's
just
cool.
looked that up.
That's neat.
He did grow up in Florida.
It's a really neat and also kind of pointless stat.
It's 100% meaningless, but it's neat.
I mean,
Yeah,
John Olerud hit for the cycle.
And we love him.
But
Go
he's
Cougs.
not fast.
It was
I would
weird
add him
'cause,
to the list of people least likely to hit for the cycle, and then he did it.
John Olerud wasn't that slow.
Really?
Like,
And he was a
younger.
really
younger
good
John
hitter, right?
Remember, John Olerud, when he was younger, was... I mean, there was a Stump Daniel about him.
about him as a Coug, yeah. He was insane. As a hitter.
really good.
Pitcher. Yeah, he
I
was.
just remember him as slow. Am I remembering that wrong? I could
Probably.
be remembering that
I
wrong.
think you're remembering him as old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Old John Olerud
Like
was slow.
Edgar Rodriguez.
Yeah, Trey Turner, 2-time All-Star, World Series champion, All MLB second team, NL batting champion in 2021, Silver Slugger Award in 2022,
Who are we talking
2-time NL Stolen
Turner?
Base Award leader,
Okay.
and 3 times he's hit for the cycle. Yeah, I want Trey Turner, but I don't want to overpay for him if he wants to be on the East Coast. He
It
grew up
would
in-
be better
I
to
will
watch
say-
videos of him sliding into home if he was wearing a Mariners jersey.
If it were
would.
like a 3-year contract, I would not be mad about overpaying for him though.
3 years,
if he
yeah.
was willing to come up to Seattle for a short-term overpaid contract, I'd
Yeah.
be like, sweet.
Pay him the same amount of money that other teams are going to pay him for 7 years,
Yeah.
but only get him for 3.
Yeah, totally.
It's not my money, so it's easy to say.
Exactly. But he's like Jerry DiPoto's. I I almost used PG-13 to R-rated term.
Whoa.
He's
Did
a
it start
Jerry.
with a B?
No,
Oh.
he's a Jerry DiPoto fantasy. I'll throw it that way. Like, he could play any position on the field except for catcher and pitcher.
Will you text me the word?
Why can't he play catcher and pitcher?
He probably could.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
He probably
I wanted,
could.
Just wanted.
Who is he? Mark McLemore?
He's like the all-star version of Mark McLemore.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The
That's-
Mark McLemore that played for the
Is
Mariners or
that
the
a
one that
step
played for
above
Oregon
or
State?
a step below the real Mark McLemore?
Wait, Mark McLemore? There's an Oregon State Mark McLemore?
Did I not tell you this?
What?
When we did a Stump Daniel at one point, I know Mark McLemore, the Mariners player, was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And I was going back through Oregon State Beaver players who have played in the majors, and I found a Mark McLemore. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mark McLemore played for the Beavers? And
No
I clicked
way.
on his picture, and it was some white dude.
Oh,
So not the Mark McLemore that played for the Mariners.
gotcha. Understandable. Anyway, Teoscar Hernandez, awesome. I'm super excited about it. For
He
all
was a
we've
left-handed
heard,
pitcher.
Mark McLemore was?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was drafted by the Astros in 2002.
Freaking Astros.
For Astros.
I'm super excited about Teoscar Hernandez. I think he fits the Mariners well. I think his personality fits the Mariners well. I think him and Eugenio and Julio are going to get on great. I think it's going to be
And
awesome.
Kyle Lewis.
No,
That's the next
Kyle
thing.
Lewis is no longer a
Oh.
Mariner.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Kyle Lewis
forgot
has
about
been
that.
traded. I hope Kyle Lewis has a great career, which is weird to say, but that would mean that he would be healthy.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the only thing that's held him back is his health, and that bums me out. I am bummed about this trade, but I understand, especially since Jerry DiPoto likes versatility, having a dude who can only hit doesn't really fit his makeup.
And is that because, just for clarification, because I thought he was a pretty good outfielder. So they're saying because you can't stay on the field when you play outfield, so you...
before he got hurt.
Okay.
He was a really good
He's
outfielder.
just so young. Like, it's hard to think that this guy who has shown you on the field what he can do is now no longer capable of that at 27 years old.
Yeah, it sucks. And
And I'm getting, like, serious Adam Jones, like, nerves.
Except
So
for
did
Adam Jones didn't have any injury
Yeah,
history.
that's
okay, I was gonna say so. Part of this is that there was definitely a disconnect between Lewis and the front office on his recovery. Like, I don't know anything about the actual details, but the facts are that we all know Lewis was not happy about being sent down. The front office was not happy about his recovery.
Yeah.
So
And the process of it.
and the process, right? So whether we all love him, so it's really hard for me to say he was in the wrong. I don't know,
Yeah.
but definitely he was not on the same page with management, and in addition to that, he's going forward probably a DH.
Yeah.
Like
It's
he's
just-
legitimately probably a DH
Like,
only.
This is the guy who was making awesome plays when he came up and won Rookie
Yes.
of the Year. And then we saw him last year playing right field and going, oh, dude, like
Not running. Like
I
not
could have
running
caught that
100%.
and I just tore my AC. I just
Yeah.
tore my Achilles like 5 months ago and I might have caught that one. That's
I
an
like that you
exaggeration.
changed it from I would have caught that to I might have caught that.
might have.
I think
That's
the hard,
just because
it's frustrating because this guy won the Rookie of the Year, albeit in a 60-game season.
Yeah.
Won the Rookie of the
so
Year 2 years
yes.
ago, and it would be easier to swallow this trade if you had gotten, like, anything in return.
You got a utility player.
you got I hope this is Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
So and remember, we loved Aaron Nola, but
Yeah.
nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
And so you're like, maybe this is Aaron Nola, a guy who can
Possibly.
catch and he's athletic.
Yes.
But it
It's
is
a trade to get rid of Kyle Lewis, and that's the part that's
That is
annoying.
accurate.
Is that they couldn't work out whatever issue there was to stash him.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is stash him.
Yep.
And that way you may not need him.
Yep.
And then give him a chance to like boost up his value by playing in AAA and then trade him later.
Yeah.
But it must have, I can only assume that it must have gotten to a point behind the scenes where it was like, all right, we need to let this guy move on and do something else.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. And I'm not even,
I agree.
I'm not even in a mode where I'm like, I need to blame the front office for this. I'm like, it just stinks as a fan that we watched this guy be great in our colors. And now I'll wish him the best, but also if he goes and succeeds somewhere else, I'm going to kind of be like, oh, could we have handled that a little bit differently?
Yeah.
The one
I'm with you on that.
the one caveat I'll give to that is that if he goes somewhere else and succeeds as a DH only, then I'll be like, you know what? They weren't going to use him.
It's not how
Like-
Dipoto likes to run things.
Like Dipoto and Service will not have a DH only player.
I'm on board with that.
And
Unless
I
it's
agree.
Carlos Santana in an emergency where they're like, oh,
Right.
crap, we don't have a first baseman. Let's get Carlos Santana. And then France comes back and they're like, you're our DH only.
Yes. And even then you saw it definitely cramped their style.
That's true.
Like it was not all working according to plan.
Yep.
But Carlos Santana could also bust out the guitar and play you a song in the 7th inning stretch.
You know what would be
Is
awesome?
that Santana?
It's a different Carlos Santana? I assumed it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
It would have been, here's the thing. So I have two other things listed on here for Mariners moves. Luis Torrens got non-tendered.
Bye-bye.
Which was unsurprising to me.
Yeah. And
Especially because they picked up a catcher.
with that trade.
Yeah,
Exactly.
With the trading away Lewis.
And they like Tom Murphy.
Yep.
And they're going to be like, hey, we believe that your injury last year was a fluke, Tom Murphy, because it was a weird play, and that's how you got injured, and we really like you.
and we have a
stud
going forward. We just need a backup catcher.
Exactly.
Big dumper.
Yeah.
The big dumper.
Anyway, so the next thing on that list is, I put this in really late, is Cody Bellinger got non-tendered.
Can you
Cody
refresh me on
Bellinger
who that
is a NL MVP from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Really good player for the Dodgers.
But more recently,
he's fallen off the table.
what
What does
happened?
he play?
Baseball.
Outfield.
I don't recognize the name.
So he plays outfield
Oh, okay. Outfielder.
and
okay.
first base, maybe.
I always thought of him as an outfielder, but
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can play first base. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. We saw that in Moneyball. They had
Anti-France.
Yeah. In Moneyball, it was Chris Pratt,
Ty-
though. So
Ty France moved off third base briefly when he had to this year.
that's true. Anyway, Cody Bellinger, a couple years ago, was looked at as one of the absolute best players in the league. He won the NL MVP. Like, amazing player. He's kind of fallen off recently. He just got non-tendered by the Dodgers, and I personally am saying, if you're not the Dodgers or the Yankees, you're not making that move. But the Dodgers and the Yankees have so much freaking money to throw around that they're like, yeah, Cody Bellinger, we don't care. We've got Mookie Betts. We can throw all sorts of money at Judge to try and get him on our team. Like, we don't care. What would have been cool had the Mariners figured out a way to be like, hey, Jesse Winker also needs a change of scenery. Maybe that will help him play. Let's trade for Cody Bellinger straight across. And that's the thing, like with Gleyber Torres. You're looking to trade him. He's been good in the past. Jesse Winker's been good in the past. Maybe we can make that swap.
Bellinger from 2017 to 2019 hit 39, 25, and 47 home runs.
Jeez.
In that 2019 season with 47 home runs,
Jeez.
he batted 305, and he drove in 115.
Dang.
Then in 2020, that was the shortened season, he hit 12 home runs. In 2021 and 2022, he hit 10 and 19 home runs, and he batted 180 or 165 and 210.
Yeah.
Like, this guy went from being NL MVP to a precipitous drop-off, and this year he played 144 games.
Yeah.
And he still only managed 19 home runs, 68 RBIs on the Dodgers.
How old is he? 'Cause he's pretty young, right?
265 on base percentage. So he's not walking
Yeah.
much in addition to the hitting.
Well, if you're hitting like crap, people are going to stop walking you.
Yes, but
I get what you're
young.
saying.
I was just saying,
Yeah.
like, you could.
He's young.
He's very young,
He's
right?
27.
So this
That-
guy obviously is talented.
Yeah.
Is a change of scenery all he needs?
So MLB Trade Rumors is reporting that he has calls from at least 5 clubs. So there's people interested in him for sure.
I want him.
He's a center fielder. It's interesting. This is center fielder and first baseman. I feel like
That is a
outfielder,
weird- yeah.
outfielder, first baseman.
Although if he doesn't
also
have
makes
much of
sense.
an arm, center field, maybe.
Anyway,
Oh, okay.
somebody who has shown that much talent can't be that bad, right? Like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take a flyer on him.
Maybe the big city was too much for him.
Maybe
Come to Seattle, sip some coffee, sit around with some hipsters, and hit some baseballs, brother.
Yeah. Dude seems like a PNW type of guy, too. Like,
Does
if
he?
you know anything about Cody
Oh,
Bellinger, he seems like a dude who would love it up in the PNW. So,
And this is another thing that
Put it on the
I've-
poll. Would Cody Bellinger love it in the PNW?
yeah.
I feel like
Seriously.
I've seen a lot of Seattle fans assuming that the outfield is stacked deep, and that's not accurate.
You're making assumptions.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the thing is people are assuming things. The outfield is not stacked deep,
And he's a
Right
versatile
now we-
player. He can also play first.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
Or
yeah.
DH?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not DH. Probably they want to circulate all of the outfielders through the DH.
And he's an outfielder.
yeah, that's true.
So,
He's not playing first base. They already have a Gold Glove caliber first
So
baseman.
That's true.
if you got Cody Bellinger, then all you need to do is figure out second base / shortstop. Is that Crawford playing second base because you signed a big time shortstop?
And
Or
Trey
is-
Turner at shortstop.
Or
And the thing about that
That was a
is
creepy noise.
yeah, yep.
people. So there was a big to do.
And then sign Kenji. Gosh darn
Kenji
it.
Jojima?
No, there's a Japanese pitcher
Okay.
who I want them to sign too.
Okay.
So if they figure out those couple things, then we're good. We're golden. And then you trade for Shohei halfway through the season because no matter what the Angels do, they're gonna suck.
And Kenji Jojima will be here.
Dude,
There you go. Then all of my dreams are satisfied, and we'll be golden, and we'll win
Can
World
I-
Series for
You
years.
will. You love Shohei Ohtani. If
Ugh.
the Angels suddenly get good, you will hate him.
That's true. But he's so likable.
I don't even hate Mike Trout, honestly, and
I
he
hate Mike
beats
Trout.
the crap out
I-
of the Mariners all the time.
I
But
don't
they're
hate
so
Mike
irrelevant.
Trout as a person, but I hate Mike Trout, the Angel.
I hate Mike
I
Trout
can
as a
draw that
fantasy football
distinction.
commissioner.
He is the worst fantasy football commissioner.
So I didn't think our fantasy football league is named Mike Trout's Fight Club.
Yeah.
Because I won last year and I got to
job.
name it. And you guys brought up the fact that the name hadn't been changed yet.
Yep.
And when you did, I thought I didn't care. Like I was like, whatever, it's just a dumb name. I giggle every time I get a notification now
Mike Trout's Fight
from Mike Trout's
Well,
Fight Club.
I'll give Daniel the credit for
It's
that
so
because
funny.
Daniel is the one who like really got into it. But
Yep.
then we got into the fantasy football group chat
Yeah.
and started like heavily advocating for it and pretending like there was going to be some kind of a mutiny over the fantasy league if it
Yes.
didn't get changed.
Absolutely.
But I also have to point out, Andrew, just so you know that people in my house think about you. When you laughed and backed away from the mic just then, it reminded me, my 8-year-old daughter last week, there was something really funny that happened,
no.
and I
Oh, no.
laughed.
Oh, no.
I laughed out loud, and she said, "Dad, you just laughed like Andrew." It was so funny.
That's
no.
awesome.
Daniel, I wanted to add,
Okay.
with regards to the situation at shortstop, second base, a lot of people don't understand why it was so important last year that the Mariners kept JP Crawford
Oh, really?
at second base. Or I mean at shortstop, I'm sorry. The reason it was important is because he was going to get, is it arbitration? Whatever. He was having, there was arbitration going on. His position made a big difference on how much he got paid.
Interesting.
He has now been paid as a shortstop. It is not so it's if it were just about pride, you'd be like, well, he's not going to move to second now. It's not about pride. It was about money.
That makes sense.
He has been paid as a shortstop. It is entirely reasonable to expect him to move to second if a better shortstop comes along. He's already been paid as a shortstop. He's continuing to be paid as a shortstop.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, going forward, the second base position is going to be a more premium defensive position because the shift has been banned.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you're just a casual baseball fan, the reason that it is reasonable for us to expect and hope for a major shortstop signing is because JP can move to second, still get paid the same, and it will be an important, like, we want a good defensive second baseman.
Oh, a couple of things. You're absolutely correct. Yes, absolutely.
That was something. That was
Also,
an angle of that I had not considered.
Yeah, it's very good. Also, some moron I saw on one of the Mariners fan pages said, can we just get a better shortstop defensively than J.P. Crawford? You're an idiot. J.P.
What?
Crawford is an amazing defensive shortstop.
Who would say that?
I don't know. A moron.
Well,
Anyway.
he had a worse than his own average year this last year.
Yeah, he didn't win a gold glove.
Yes,
Sorry.
exactly.
Curse you, JP.
Also, it's Kodai Senga, who's the Japanese pitcher who I think would be really interesting.
Is that the dude with the
ghost fork
ghost
ball?
fork ball? Yes.
Okay, but hold
I want
on.
that
We
guy.
had a Fang that came here before.
Yeah, and this
so,
would be the ghost.
Be careful
ghost
about
fork
named
ball.
pitches because the Fang was really good for 1 year and then got rocked for about 1,000 home runs after that.
Just put him in the he throws 100 miles an hour. If he doesn't work out as a starter, just put him in the bullpen. Just flop him and Matt Brash back and forth. I don't care.
You could be the next Mariano Rivera.
Yeah. Also, house cleaning. Thank you so much, Johanna, for saying that Austin Nola is who Cooper Hummel is being compared to, not Aaron Nola, who's an all-star pitcher. Very different. They're brothers, but very different positions.
I think
So,
of them
thank
as
you
the
very
same
much.
person.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know that the other Nola existed.
Two Nolas, both awesome. One a pitcher, one a catcher / utility player who's not quite as awesome. Anyway,
Let's wrap it up.
Do we have
That's-
Mariners talk? Or
Also-
Seahawks? Do we have?
No,
do we
they're
care
on
at all about
bye.
the Seahawks?
they're on bye.
And this has gone on along.
One thing
partly
I-
because of
I
Stump
just wanted
Daniel.
to like
Yeah.
cover it. Like
To end the show, my wife just sent me something that said, "There's no such thing as a perfect name for a firefighter, Lieutenant Les McBurney." Perfect name for a firefighter. So
if you were going to make a fictional firefighter, his name
Les
should be Les
McBurney.
McBurney.
Les McBurney.
that doesn't
all right.
sound British at all.
Nope. So for my co-host,
For my co-host, Daniel, saucier than Haley Van Lith Hargrove.
and my co-host, how do you spell buoy, Domashevitz?
And my co-host, Daniel Plausitive Gross.
No, that's Andrew Positive Gross.
Did I say Daniel?
Yes,
It's
you
because
did.
you didn't say my first name, so I said the wrong first name
My
for
bad.
you, for
You're-
Andrew.
Sorry.
Bad
Your
job by both
producer?
of us.
Producer Andrew Plausitive Gross.
Andrew Plausitive Gross. Well, there is a Daniel Gross though, so that's I should get points for that.
Stick around and you can listen to all of our local sports updates.
Ongoing train wreck aside, if you're watching on YouTube, stay for the 5-minute timer so we can have a quick potty break and Daniel can find some more food to shove in his mouth. And then we'll come back with local sports, including Montesano and the PWV RSB playoff football game. Bye-bye.
Let's go, huddle up!
You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Eric Jones. Who's Eric Jones?
Yo, mama.
He is the bullpen catcher, apparently. That's got to be like the best job ever, right? Just hang out with the bullpen guys and
If you're not good, if you know you're not good enough to be a major league player, then yeah, I suppose that'd be the best
You want to
ever.
provide the audio only audience a little context on that comment, or
yeah. Nope.
That's my co-host
I don't
Daniel
think the
Hargrove.
video helps any. It's just white.
That's my co-host Daniel Hargrove. I'm
looking-
Justin Domashevitz.
There we go. It's the roster. It's the Seattle Mariners, 2022 Seattle Mariners, and it's like the whole picture of their team, and it lists like everybody, and also Jordan Larson and Brandon Cho, as the Bat Boys. Dude, how much fun would that be?
Bat Boys would be an awesome MLB job.
I've never been an MLB bat boy, but I used to go when the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors hosted their tournament every year. My friend Mac and I would go when we were like 11 and 12 years old. 10, 11, 12 years old, we would go find a team that was from far away and didn't have Bat Boys and be like, hey, do you guys want Bat Boys for the weekend? And we'd go just for like 3 days and just be Bat Boys for a random team.
That is awesome.
It was so
That
fun.
is awesome.
We were the Bat Boys for a Japanese team one time.
Nice.
And didn't understand a word of what 85% of them said.
Nice.
But they also, like, when they played with wooden bats, if they would break a bat, they'd give it to us. It was really cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The
Childhood memories.
My coolest Bat Boy story is I Bat Boyed for the rain. Do you even remember the rain?
I thought you meant like water that falls from the sky.
No. So
Rain
after
need
the
a
Grace
Bat
Harbor,
Boy?
after the Grace Harbor Gulls, they brought back the Grace Harbor Rain at one point.
Oh,
All I remember is that game they played with metal bats, and can't remember if it was Jay Glazier or his brother.
Jay Glazer has a brother?
Yeah, I think it was his brother, and he got hit by a
Ray
comeback.
Glazer?
He got hit by a comebacker in the hand and pitched the rest of the game.
Oh, okay. Which hand?
He was a stud.
it got a lot better after you said in the hand.
Yeah, he was a stud though. Like,
Yeah,
and
for
I
real.
remember Bat Boying that game and just being like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's amazing." But
You know what my friend Mac used to like to do to me was we would sit on buckets that were kind of by the dugout,
Yeah.
and then obviously your job is to go get the bat when the guy hits the
that's
ball.
you're a
But
Bat
we
Boy.
would sit and we'd be carrying on and not paying a ton of attention, and then every once in a while when the other team was batting, they'd get a hit and he'd be like, "Go get the bat." And so then I'd like run and take 3 steps and be like, "Oh, you got me. You got me."
How old were you?
I'm going to say like 11 or 12.
Nice. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I also, the only other time I Bat Boyed was for my brother's Babe Ruth team. And so I was probably like, well, let's see, he was 14 and 15. So I would have been 7 and 8. Learned not a lot of new words that year. Teenagers are the worst. Anyway, Bat Boying experiences aside, what are you laughing about?
I'm sorry. I was laughing at your joke on a delay. I was half paying attention, so I got your joke, but I was like 5 seconds late on getting your joke.
It was very weird.
Sorry. I was trying to figure out if the team that I Bat Boyed for is still in existence. It was called Nippon, like Nippon.
Yeah.
And I think they were
Tigers?
actually like a pro team that came
The-
and played in the college.
Tigers?
Maybe, yeah. Sounds right. I had a pennant. They gave us some stuff. Like I had a pennant and a poster and some other stuff when I was a kid, but I don't know what happened to it.
So I also Bat Boyed for my brother's senior Babe Ruth team when they were in the senior Babe Ruth World Series that was hosted at the Olympic Stadium.
Oh.
And they played against Hawaii, and Hawaii was amazing.
Yeah.
My brother was 16, and it was a 16 through 19-year-old tournament. And my brother gave up, to this day, the farthest home run I've ever seen in person. It had to be at least 450 feet. Do you know where that concession stand is at Olympic Stadium? That's in what would be either dead center field or like out past the end zone.
I know every concession stand in every field locally.
Okay, so it hit the roof of that concession
Intimately.
stand.
Whoa!
Yeah, dude. This dude crushed it off my brother. The center fielder went like this.
Pretty good burgers at that concession stand during football season.
So I'm going to look up, I think it's the Nippon
So just
Tigers.
Yeah, that sounds right.
for full clarity, Nippon is the Japanese word for Japan. So it's very broad.
Well,
Yeah,
that could be any team then.
And I don't think the Tigers was it either, because there's a Hanshin Tigers. Yeah, so I'm going to claim the loss.
We have really bungled this.
Yeah.
But this is the local sports portion of the podcast. We don't actually have a ton of local high school sports because we're in playoffs and a lot of teams have been eliminated.
And Justin doesn't want to talk about them.
But we have a few that we need to get to. So let's actually do a quick version of the local sports roundup.
There it is.
Yeah, quick, third seeded Pe Ell Willapa Valley took out sixth seeded Raymond-South Bend 34-13 in a state quarterfinal game on Friday at the Jack Rattle Field in Montesano. Blake Howard led the Titans in rushing with 120 yards, and Ty Redinger, which we've been calling him Reedinger.
You had called him Reedinger. I'd called him Redinger.
Yeah, the PA guy was calling him Redinger, so I'm going to go with that. He led the Ravens with 107 yards.
And you said he was a big boy.
He is a big boy. We'll talk about that when we get to the discussion about the game. Colton Fluke passed for one touchdown for PWV and rushed for another. Garrett Keaton kicked field goals of 30 and 35 yards. Austin Snodgrass threw for 2 touchdown passes for RSB, one to Farrell Johnson and one to Kai Huey.
Montesano's football season came to an end on Saturday in Royal City.
Nothing royal about that city.
Nope. With a 41-9 loss to the Royal Knights. Shockingly, not a private school. That's just their city name. Montesano's only touchdown was scored on a pass from senior quarterback Jaden McElravy to senior wideout Caleb Ames. I heard the radio call of that touchdown. It was awesome. Sophomore kicker punter Felix Romero connected on a field goal in the first quarter as well. Nobody likes Royal.
Another Montesano team saw its season end with a loss. The Bulldogs girls soccer team fell to Clajoya in the state semifinals on Friday and then lost to Seattle Academy, dang private schools, in the third place game on Saturday. Although the year ended with back-to-back losses, Montesano finished the season with an 18-4 record and earned its second consecutive fourth-place finish in the state tournament.
It's an awesome program. It really is. That's the end of our very short local sports roundup. And prep soccer's tough.
Yeah.
Like, because you mentioned the private schools, Andrew, but it's more so that a lot of these kids, like, they all play on a club team together.
Yeah.
And then they all go to the same high school because they're all in similar age spots. And it's that whole weird thing that I'm really concerned about now having kids and growing up in youth sports is the whole pay-to-play sports costing super expensive amount of money. And then you're like, oh, great. Well, does my kid either have to travel to play on this really good team?
So as someone who's been through
what's
it,
going on?
I'll tell you that the one sport that seems to be the one you can get by without all that pay-to-play stuff is probably football.
Isn't that insane?
It is insane because basketball, AAU club basketball is huge. Soccer, it's huge. Baseball, it's huge.
Yeah.
In football, it's like you can only play football for so many weeks of the year because it's so physically demanding. And there are things like, 7-on-7 teams and all this stuff. But
or camps.
And camps. Most of the kids, the only reason you go to camps most of the time is if you're trying to get recruited.
Yeah.
So I was
the
gonna
kids
ask
get
about the 7-on-7 teams because I feel like that's a thing that I've been hearing more about.
I'd say more for skill players, probably.
Well, yeah.
But
7-on-7.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't know a lot of kids who have done a lot of off-season stuff outside of the program.
Yeah.
Like, they generally do work within the program, and if you have a good high school team with coaches that know what they're doing and set up a program that will help your team get better, you can kind of go through like youth football, junior high football, high school football, and everything can be kind of functional and it's not super expensive. When you get into like the other sports, track would be probably the other one. You know, you can run track, but that's not as big of a sport.
Yeah.
When you're talking about soccer, baseball, basketball, club sports side of that is huge.
And it's insane.
And it's expensive.
Oh,
and it's time consuming.
We could have a 5-hour conversation.
We've
about
done
this.
it.
We've had it. We will again. I'm going to say right now,
How expensive is it? Or is that not a conversation we want to get
thousands.
into? So
It
like,
depends.
I've talked to baseball parents who said that they've had to spend like $1,200 for their 13-year-old travel team.
The last time,
It's crazy.
So it's like under a couple thousand probably, but over 1,000.
Yeah.
dude, it's hard because there's so many levels of it. Like,
And I've
I
talked
had
to
a
some
son who
kids-
played one
Yeah.
season of travel ball, and I think we paid $500. But it was like, that was like 6 tournaments, really basic uniforms,
that
not
was-
much travel.
And that was a local team.
And it was a local team. And the experience was great, and it helped him get better. But it also wasn't, it was like a quarter of the cost of what, some kids are going to play for some big team in Puyallup, or like, I know some kids who play for New Level, which is far away, and they travel to Puyallup for practice twice a week. And
Amazing facilities and amazing opportunities.
And that travel adds to the cost too.
travel,
Like, that occurs to
hotel
me, like,
expenses.
That's a
because
lot more.
the higher level of a team you play on, in general, the further you're traveling for your tournaments.
Yeah.
Especially when you live further away from a city center or
Correct.
a major metropolitan area.
I am not going to list any names, but I know of an extremely talented baseball player who his
Was
parents...
it you?
No. Right now.
Oh.
And his parents have to, like, sleep in their van because they're not one of the rich kids. They're not one of the rich families. But they have a kid who's extremely talented, and they want him to be able to have that opportunity. And so instead of going and making that trip and then staying in a hotel and doing that, they sleep in their van. It's horrible
Yeah. Well, I think we were lucky enough
to
that
have that opportunity. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough that when there's been out of town tournaments, they're always in a place that, like, it could be a long drive, but we could drive to. So we'd drive to one day, drive home, drive to the next day.
Yeah.
So I haven't experienced that specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So
it's a huge challenge.
Let's pivot harshly.
Really quick before we pivot harshly,
Yeah.
just in case I don't think there's anybody listening in my age group who have kids in my kids' age group, but as soon as I possibly can, I'm going to try and start something where kids can have an absolutely free opportunity to get together once a month from January to like March or April and have that opportunity to have baseball practice experience on one Saturday a month, no expenses expected, just absolutely free. Come in and have some fun playing baseball. So guess what? If you want to play baseball and you want to get better at it in the off season, you can.
Can I play?
Yes. Because that would mean that you'd be coming and throwing batting practice for like 4 hours.
I'll have to
Justin
throw
was-
with my left arm.
Justin was more thinking about batting.
I was thinking
Yeah.
about batting. Yeah.
I will throw to you.
Really?
I'll strike you out a million times in a row.
I think I could hit off you. I think I've got more sauce.
Oh, I cannot wait.
It's gonna be good.
We're talking
gonna
about
be
like
good.
slow pitch softball, or
No, fast pitch softball. Fast pitch softball
Not
for the
fast pitch
girls.
softball. Anyway,
Wait, no. I think we
What do
need
you
to
think
do
about
this.
that, though?
Actually, I think we need to do this
what do you think about that?
about setting up something for kids to play baseball.
We have a couple
love
of
that
different.
idea.
We have a couple of different facilities around the area now. What do you think about opening it up once a month? You can come for free, hit some batting practice, play around doing baseball stuff, so you can get that off-season experience without having to pay $1,000 to go do what the rich kids are doing.
I think let's do it as a show, and we'll set something up with the Let Them Play Foundation, which is a new local foundation that is like they're setting something up where they can help kids get equipment when they don't have equipment to play.
Dude, yes.
For sports, it was set up by local guys, some Montesano guys that used to play
Yes.
sports. So yeah, let's workshop it. We'll figure something out.
Absolutely.
I'll throw BP.
That's amazing. Also,
I got a nasty knuckleball. I'm ready to unleash.
We've got some new baseball academies. We've got some new baseball facilities. We've got people who are interested in this, right? We have the people who realize that this is a thing that should happen.
Right.
Oh, crap. Where was I going with that?
Somewhere important, I bet.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, it seems like we could also, at some point, we could aim to help kids who are good to participate in these things. Like, a few $1,000s is a ton of money for a family.
It's huge.
It's not a ton of money for
a community.
Absolutely. And it would be really cool if at some point down the road there could be a community organization that could coordinate that sort of thing, so that kids that were talented could play the games that they were talented in without having to be hamstrung by being poor.
Yeah. I just want more kids to play too.
Yes.
When I came up playing sports, every elementary school in Aberdeen and Hoquiam had their own 5th and 6th grade basketball team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had their own 5th and 6th grade flag football team. Those aren't things anymore. So the no.
Wow.
The random kids who are like, "Oh, maybe I'll play football this year." They can't.
Before we cut it off, I
think that Aberdeen and Hoquiam's Little Leagues should be combined, and Hoquiam pull your head out and become a Little League foundation instead of the one Cal Ripken foundation in the entire area. Pull your head out, and if there's any way I can help make that happen, I'm going to.
Oh, future Hoquiam Little League president Daniel Hargrove.
I don't care, because it's ridiculous that you are isolating yourself from the entire area when it comes to that.
He would be really good at that.
I was only half joking, honestly.
I know. And I was just saying.
My friend Steve, the same one who has harped on our closer opinions, has been the president of Montesano Little League for several years now.
Yeah.
And has done a fantastic job because we need local people. And Steve doesn't even have a child in the program anymore. He's hanging on because he sees the importance of what's happening.
And
I
Chuck,
feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chuck is the president of Aberdeen Little League. And guess what? I know both of them. And
Chuck Stover?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy hits dingers, bro.
Yes, he does. He absolutely does. And he's got a cannon for an arm.
Remember that one game when we were like, why did you pitch to Chuck?
Yes, I remember that.
We could have won if we had just not pitched to Chuck.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But also, why is Hoquiam the only Cal Ripken team in the area?
I actually don't know the answer to that.
I assume that the answer boils down to money.
It made more sense. It was supposed to be cheaper. I honestly don't think it's that much cheaper. But it made more sense back when I was a kid because we had like 8 teams.
Yeah.
Now both Aberdeen and Hoquiam Little League have like 3 or 4 teams. I'm sorry. As much as I love this being separate, it's time to combine, and it's time for Hoquiam to become a Little League foundation. This is a completely random rant that I'm sorry I'm derailing our show with, but it's something that I've been thinking about recently, and it makes sense. It makes too much sense.
I misquoted the name of the foundation that I was talking about. It's called, I said let them play. It's called Let the Kids Play.
I love it.
So look up the Let the Kids Play Foundation on Facebook. They also have a website. It's tkpfoundation.com. Those guys are doing great things, helping provide opportunities for kids who maybe can't afford equipment or whatever they need. They haven't been able to achieve what they want to in sports as children, and they are helping people do those things, which is, I think, exactly what we're hoping to promote.
Absolutely.
So check them out, help them out with their fundraisers.
I'm really sorry for the sidetrack, but I think it is important. So,
well, I think that's going to do it for our local sports show today. We don't need to talk about Montesano's loss to...
Wait, hold up.
Wait, what?
We haven't even talked about Pe Ell, Willapa Valley.
Oh, that's the last thing we need to talk about today is the Pe Ell, Willapa Valley, Raymond-South Bend football game.
So you guys were both there.
Yeah.
I really wish I could have been there. I wasn't able to make it, but let me know about this game because this is 2 local Pat County teams.
Yeah.
And Pe Ell. Is Pe Ell in Willapa or?
They're not in Pat County. I think they're part of Lewis County. I think They're pretty far. They're like actually, isn't Pe Ell like 20 miles down the highway from
I think
Willapa
so.
Valley?
I'm gonna look it up.
I actually thought that for many years that they should just take all three of the Pat County teams, do Raymond-South Bend and Willapa Valley, and do one combo team because I think they would still be 2B if they combined all three of those schools.
They would be dominant.
They would be dominant.
Yeah.
Look at what Raymond-South Bend has done, and that's without even the Willapa Valley kids. And Willapa Valley has been a football powerhouse for many years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk about the game a little bit because
I'm looking at the map right now, and I see Raymond and South Bend and Francis and Pe Ell. I don't see a
Francis is
Willapa
part
Valley at all.
Francis
Isn't it
is part of
Menlo?
Willapa Valley.
I'm saying that on the map, I don't see a Willapa Valley at all.
No, Willapa Valley is not the name of a town. It's the name of the valley that the town is in,
Isn't
and it's
it
in Menlo.
Menlo?
It's on Viking Way in Menlo.
Just saying.
Viking Way.
On
It's
the
pretty
map,
cool.
there is no Willapa Valley.
That's true.
No, there's Raymond in there. If you
It's
go into
22 miles from Pe Ell to Menlo.
Did I freaking nail that?
You did nail that.
I'm good at this.
Did you do your homework or something?
It must be
That's-
something that was stored in the
That's
old memory
not
bank.
okay.
Dude, by the way,
Stop trying too hard.
Yeah.
Willapa Harbor is huge.
Yeah, it's really big.
It's really big.
Yeah. So, anyway, this football game. I think Andrew and I were both there, as well as Andrew's wife, Johanna. I think there was a couple things I was struck by. One is the 34-13 final score doesn't really indicate how competitive this game was. I think at the end, Raymond-South Bend had some opportunities and just kind of fell short, and PWV just pulled away. In the first half, there was a point, it was a one-score game, and RSB had the ball with a couple minutes left. They ended up turning it over to, or I don't remember, Andrew, do you remember if it was a punt or what it was?
I don't.
But there was less than a minute left in the first half, and PWV took over possession, and it was like, okay, well, if they could get a score here, that would be huge, but it'd be really hard because they got a lot of field to go, and they haven't really passed the ball much. I want to say in the entire game, they only completed 4 passes.
Yeah.
But their quarterback, Colton Fluke, completed 2 passes to the same kid and ended up getting a touchdown right before halftime. And I felt like that was the point that I was like, that was huge. Because you go into the halftime with a 2-score lead instead of a 1-score lead, and Raymond-South Bend is a team that wants to run the ball. They do have a good quarterback, but they have a good dual-threat quarterback in Austin Snodgrass, and Ty Redinger is like the driving force that makes their offense go. So that score before halftime on those passes by Colton Fluke to Portman, whose first name I am now forgetting. Nice catch, Daniel.
Yeah. Sorry, Andrew for the second time is trying to destroy his own sound setup.
I'm going to figure out, hold on, it's in the show sheet, the name of Portman, right?
Yeah, it should be in there. He's been in there in previous show sheets too. It's not in our current show sheet.
Oh, shoot. I blew that.
I'll try.
Okay, so
I'll find it in one of our older ones.
So the Portman kid, as the Willapa Valley coach called him in the postgame interview.
That Portman kid.
That Portman
The
kid.
current Portman kid.
Caught 2 passes in a row.
I wonder
and
if
the
he's
second
related
one,
to Chris Portman.
Is
Probably.
there
the
any
Soch
chance
teacher
he's
from
not?
Grace Harbor College?
No. Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Zero chance he's
Because
not.
he's from Menlo
Yeah,
and
that
played for
he
Willapa
must
Valley.
be related in
Yeah.
some way.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a total.
Sorry. I
Sidetrack.
did it again. I'm sorry.
But and I thought that touchdown right before halftime was huge for the Titans in establishing more of a lead that was going to be difficult for RSB to come back from. I thought my biggest takeaway, this was the first time that I watched Ty Redinger play in person. That kid is a load. Like, he is really big and really strong and hard to take down and moves quickly enough that it's really difficult. He's really difficult to deal with as a running back. So we've referred to him in previous weeks as a workhorse running back. And I thought that that was really demonstrated in this game. For Raymond-South Bend, they went from allowing that last score in the second quarter to coming out in the third quarter and just Ty Redinger. And I think he got all the way down the field on like 3 carries and got them into scoring position. So there was a lot of good things that happened for RSB in this game, but PWV displayed a multitude of weapons, like several guys who could make plays, and they made the most timely plays in this game. Andrew, did you have a big takeaway from this game?
Not a big takeaway, no. I just felt like it felt to me like at any moment RSB could have got lucky and made it a game.
Yeah.
But they were always like a step behind.
True. And then the other thing was, because both of these teams run the ball so much, the second half, as RSB was trying to make a comeback, it felt like it went by really quickly.
Yeah.
Because the clock was just tick, 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 tick. And both teams were making these long winding drives. And it felt like it really, until the very end, it felt like RSB was within striking distance. So I kept waiting for that score that was going to bring it back to being a competitive game.
Most of the game, it felt like, man, one big run could change this game. And it just didn't quite come.
Yeah. I felt like the quarterback, I already said his name, Colton Fluke.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause you said he was
There's a
fluke.
Colton Fluke and a Derek Fluke and a Coach Fluke.
Yeah.
There's a Coach Fluke, a Colton Fluke, and a Derek Fluke. So lots of flukes.
Colton Fluke played really well.
Pat County name.
Yeah.
Super composed. I mentioned, I think they didn't complete very many passes, but when he completed the passes, he was very efficient in what he did. PWV's offense was very efficient overall. And they have a kicker that is super legit.
Garrett Keaton.
Garrett Keaton kicked field goals of 30 and 35 yards. That
Tyson
35.
Portman.
Oh, thank you. Tyson Portman.
There
I think
it is.
Tyson Portman,
Took me a
otherwise
bit, but I
known
found
as
it.
otherwise known as the Portman kid.
The Chronicle does a great job,
Okay,
by the way.
tell me.
They do a good job of covering high school sports. Just going to throw that out there. Good job, The Chronicle.
Okay, Lewis County guy. That has not been my experience.
Sorry. They covered the PWV RSB game and knew who Tyson Portman was. So,
Well, he was listed in the
Good
Daily World
job.
article too.
okay.
I got his name from somewhere.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Garrett Keaton of Pe Ell Willapa Valley kicked field goals of 30 and 35 yards. When he kicked the 35-yarder, which some people, if you watched Andrew's video from the game, declared that it was a 42-yarder. I'm sorry, it was not. It was the 35-yard
It wasn't
field
me.
goal.
It was people behind me.
Right. And that field goal would have been good from at least 45.
Yeah.
And probably further.
He's a good kicker.
And you don't really see that at the 2B level a lot. Like the higher up you go in classifications, the more likely you are to have somebody who specializes in kicking. But Garrett Keaton, man, I was really impressed with his ability.
You also don't see too many quarterbacks wearing number 43. Just throwing that out there.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Does
I'm just
Colton
looking,
Fluke wear 43?
I'm looking at some of the pictures from the Chronicle, and yeah Colton Fluke wears
Hey, you know
33,
what? That's
43.
Lewis County. They probably named him wrong. They probably labeled the pictures wrong.
No, I'm looking at the picture, dude. Also, the kicker
Maybe he's
wears
actually
53.
a linebacker.
So I was really glad that Pe Ell Willapa Valley and Raymond-South Bend decided to play this state quarterfinal in my own backyard at Rottle Field at the Jack, because I got to go. And if they had chosen to play it, since PWV was the host, like they could have said, no, Raymond-South Bend, you're going to travel through our areas to go to Centralia and play at Centralia. And they didn't do that. They
No,
played.
because they realized Centralia is not a great place to play.
That's true. And, we were told after the game was over that there were reasons why. I won't go into what the reasons why, but there were reasons why Willapa Valley didn't want to play at Centralia
Because playing at Centralia is not fun.
There you go.
There you go.
So they wanted to play the game in Montesano.
Yeah.
Montesano felt more local.
Yeah.
They wanted to play there.
I love it.
They did. They won. So it's great, and I was thankful that they'd made that choice to play the game there, because then I got to go watch it.
Yeah.
And my big takeaway from this game was it's easy to look at the score and go 34-13. These are two really good competitive teams with kids who can make plays.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned Ty Redinger. Austin Snodgrass has been a total beast all year. Also Ty Huey. I feel like every single week we're mentioning, and there was a touchdown pass to Ty Huey.
Yep.
Like there are kids on this RSB roster that have been really good, but PWV from the beginning of the year came out struggling. Mm-hmm. Lost to Napavine, lost to Adna, lost to somebody else. I don't remember what it was. Early in the year, they were struggling. They are a well-oiled machine right now, and they have been rolling through competition to the point that they fully deserved, even with the few losses that they have, that 3 seed that they got, and proved it by going to a place that's closer to Raymond-South Bend and taking them out in this game.
Andrew, they playing Napavine next?
I think Okanagan.
Okanagan?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Go get it. I know everybody says it's either Napavine or Okanagan. That would be freaking awesome if PWV took down Okanagan.
Yeah.
Napavine's a different beast. Just throwing that out there. It is insane.
I watched Napavine play last year against my Montesano Bulldogs.
They're so good.
They are not a 2B team.
It's stupid. They had a kid on that team committed to USC, for Pete's sake.
I think it was Boise State.
No, it was USC. Because I was like, why aren't you going to Oregon State, bud? Because he was previously committed to Oregon State.
I'm going to a better college.
Yeah, he was...
I'm going to a Big Ten school.
He previously committed to Oregon State, and then he was like, now I'm going to USC. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. It's insane, man.
Are you talking about the lineman, Olsen?
Yeah.
That kid was amazing.
So good.
He was so good.
Yeah. So that 2B ranks is so much fun to watch.
All season, it's been, if you listen to people who kind of follow statewide football, Napavine and Okanagan are the class of 2B. They're the top 2 teams. You can figure out which one you think is the best, but those are the 2 best teams, and everybody else is fighting for third.
Yep.
So this is going to be a tough test for PWV, but they are playing their best ball right now. They lost to Adna earlier in the year. They
killed him.
Yeah.
Murdered him.
Yeah.
Decimated him. They said, you know what, Pirates? You can go poop yourselves.
Yeah. Was the crossover against Adna 54-0?
Something like that.
PWV is playing a different level of ball than they were at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
And I am super excited with them having the opportunity to go play a really high-level team, what they're going to be capable of.
Absolutely. All right, the only other local game to get to, Justin,
is Montesano soccer.
It says here Monty football on the show sheet.
Yeah, it's there because we don't know much about soccer.
So Montesano played a football game.
Football?
Not football, but football.
Yeah, so Montesano played a football game.
Let's preface this.
Yeah.
Royal.
Yeah.
We don't know how. Because, shockingly, it's not a private school. That's literally the name of the town.
Literally the name of the town is, it's not a private
It's
school.
Royal City.
Yeah, and it's not that great of a city.
There's a lot of farmland.
They're pretty good at football.
And
They're really good at football. Oh, my gosh, Andrew. They're insane at football. They are back-to-back champs right now, and they're probably going to go back-to-back-to-back.
I would be surprised.
Honest question, is this an age group? Like, is it an age group moving through?
No.
It's not.
No, this is like the last 20 years.
I think
That's
they've
amazing.
won 5 state titles in the last 10 years.
That's impressive.
It's
really
bonkers.
impressive.
I don't think it's that impressive.
It's
Shut
pretty
up.
impressive.
Shut up, Justin. It's freaking bonkers.
Yeah.
They're not a private school, and they're not Bellingham, who were literally paying people to move across the country to play football for
Not
them.
only are they not a private school, they don't live anywhere near enough other places for them to recruit.
They don't live anywhere near anything.
I don't get it. And we know...
These are actual farm boys.
Yes. And we know the amount of effort that the Montesano program as a whole puts into their program. And they can't even
recruiting.
And they can't replicate...
From the area.
No, I didn't say that.
I did.
You did. I might agree with you, but I'm not saying it. They can't replicate that, and yet, how? I don't get it. Justin, this team was real good. You saw it up close and in person. Royal's just really freaking good.
So I went into this knowing, okay, Montesano is the 8 seed. Royal is the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But this feels like the most open 1A classification in recent memory.
Because you assume that Royal graduated a lot of kids over the last 2 years.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
But also, Royal lost a game to Linden Christian earlier this year. Linden Christian didn't even make the state tournament because there were 2 teams in their own league that ended up beating them out for it.
And we can all appreciate that.
True.
And they're all still in it.
Yeah.
Which
So
is crazy.
I knew Royal was going to be really good.
Yeah.
I knew from talking to my son who watched film, he plays for Montesano, he said, Royal's really good. The weak part of their team might be the line, but they're really good.
Yeah.
So there's no real weak part of this team, and I think it really showed during the game. I thought our Montesano Bulldogs came out a little sluggish. There was a bit of a lack of energy, and I don't know what to attribute that to.
I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
You're driving all the way to freaking Royal.
Yeah, it's a long
I
time.
don't care if
That
you're
is a
going to
long ways.
Ellensburg the night before. Personally, I've taken a drive on a bus, on a crappy school bus. I don't know if Monty's school bus is crappy, but I've taken a crappy
I've never
school
been
bus.
on
Not. It's probably really nice.
It might be.
It just looks like a normal school bus. I've never been on it. So I don't
Personally,
know.
Justin, I've taken a crappy school bus, not feeling well, over to Spokane, played in a game, and then ended up eating Arby's and feeling worse and throwing up like 4 times the night before and having to ride home with my dad. It's not fun to take a long road trip on a bus. There's definitely things that would make you feel sluggish with a long trip. I don't care if you go over the night before, your routine's messed up, whatever.
Saturday afternoon game felt weird.
Everything. All of that, they're factors.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go full Skip Eatonville and make a giant thing about how everything makes, like, who cares? Screw you, Skip. Eatonville does not need a billion excuses.
Coming in hot.
Yes, he's absolutely insane. But I will say, if you come off a little sluggish, no crap, that's why you're playing a 1 seed who gets the right to be a home team. Right?
Yeah. I want to go into the Monty game. Can I defend
There's-
Eatonville Skip for 1 second?
No! There's
for it,
solid
Justin.
excuses to be sluggish. That's all I'm trying to say. If any Monty kid needs an excuse, you have the absolutely valid excuses. Those happen. That's why winning a state title is something that is very rare, unless apparently you're Royal, which I still don't freaking understand. I don't get Royal.
Maybe they're just good.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Sorry.
It
Anyway,
feels weird.
I'm giving you the floor back. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that out there. Those are absolutely valid excuses. All of you Montesano fans who are bummed out thinking, man, if this would have been at Monty and we would have been at full strength, it might have been different. It might not have. But you know what? Those are valid excuses. And guess what? It doesn't matter. Because you need everything to go right to win a state championship. That's the thing. It's like winning a Super Bowl. Being the best team in the state doesn't mean you're going to win a state championship. It doesn't.
You know who needs
You need to be
excuses?
healthy in so many different ways. And if you're Eatonville, go cry yourself a river.
You know who
Freaking
needs
shut up.
You know who needs excuses?
Skip.
Losers.
Yes. Seriously.
Losers need excuses. Winners don't need excuses.
I feel like Skip is catching strays here.
I'm sorry. After
I don't think
watching
they're
Skip's
strays.
Twitter,
I think
No.
Daniel's targeted.
Yes. After watching Skip's Twitter feed about calling out literally players' names specifically, you're an adult, Skip. These are kids. Shut up. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm so
Are you
mad.
sorry?
No, I'm not sorry.
Why did you say sorry then?
Did I say sorry?
Yeah, you did.
I'm not sorry, Skip.
You have to say, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize.
Anyway, Justin, I will shut up for a second. I'll even leave the room for a second because
No,
I
you
feel
can
like
stay.
I've dominated.
Do you need to pee?
Yes.
So bad.
Okay, you go pee.
Talk about the game. I'm sorry. All of
All
that
right.
was boiling up inside of me.
Yeah, it was.
And it just goes to show how special that 2012 season was.
It erupted like a volcano.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let it
I
go.
remember that season.
You have a kid on the team. They fought their butts off. I want to let you talk about it and not overshadow it. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm sorry to you,
That's okay.
not to Skip.
No problem. When Daniel gets out of the room, I'm gonna apologize to Skip.
Do not apologize to Skip.
Daniel objects strongly.
Skip cares passionately about Eatonville football the same way that I care passionately about Montesano football. And he put his opinions out there about what happened in the game with Freeman, and he felt like something dirty happened. And if you want to go check him out, Skip Smith on Twitter, if you want to see what we're talking about. Freeman beat Eatonville in the quarterfinal, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Montesano playing against Royal. I thought that Montesano's players came out looking okay. Like, the beginning of the game was kind of all right. Like, it had a little bit of a weird feel. As the game went on, it felt sluggish and slow. I know I was texting you guys in our group text. Nothing felt crisp. It didn't feel like the same team that I had been watching all season on offense or defense. Like Daniel said, even if you're a good team, you need everything to go right to win the state title. There's some seniors on this Montesano squad: Jaden McElravy, Caleb Ames, Riley Chapman, Seth Caton, Ethan Blundred, Cole Eckerson. Like, there's some guys on this team that have played huge roles. Mateo Sanchez. I'm going to really miss watching these guys play. And it never has, and it never will get easier to watch seniors walk off the field for the last time. Anyone who listens to our show consistently gets really sick of this. It's hard, man.
I know I do.
Because I'm going through my Instagram feed after the game is over, and not only did you not win, but after taking a 9-7 lead in the first quarter, the Bulldogs were not competitive.
Yeah.
They got boat raced. And it would be an easier pill to swallow if you had gone out there and proved, nah, we belong on the field. This is the number one team, but we belong with you, which I still believe they do.
Yeah, me too.
But because of the circumstances and because they just played a bad game. They played a bad game in week 1 against Black Hills and lost. They played a bad game in week 11 or 12 or whatever this was against Royal and got crushed.
It happens.
It happens sometimes. And I just I felt like they didn't play their best game. They're not going to feel good about it. But watching Mateo Sanchez, who I'm going to start a formal petition to drop the off of his defensive MVP.
Yeah.
Because that kid deserves all of a defensive MVP all on his own. And Jaden McElravy, who his work and the amount of effort and thought he puts into his game, certified genius, literal academic genius, Jaden McElravy. I've really enjoyed watching him play offense. I think we could drop the off of his offensive MVP. This is a team that, as much as I'm looking at it going, there's a lot of really good contributing juniors. They're going to be back next year. Some of next year's juniors will step up. Some of next year's sophomores will step up. This is still going to be a good team. Man, watching guys like Caleb Ames and Ethan Blundred and Mateo Sanchez and Jaden McElravy and Cole Eckerson, who I think is like kind of an unsung hero of the group, playing free safety and putting so much into the defensive side of the ball. You got the grinders on the inside in Riley Chapman and Seth Caton, who mostly only play offense, but they're playing offensive line for a team who was a primary running team.
Yep.
Ran the ball for a buttload of yards. I just I feel for these seniors, and watching them walk off the field for the last time was really hard. Especially when you know that you didn't put out your best effort on the last game.
I'll never get used to it.
Yeah.
I'll never get used to it. I'll never get used to it.
Will you ever get used to it, though?
I wasn't there. And it's
Put
still
it on
hard
the poll. Will you ever get used to it?
It's still hard for me to talk about.
Yeah.
I wasn't even there. And yet I've watched Mateo Sanchez since he was a sophomore.
Boy, checking my Instagram feed after the game was
Man.
over, I was on memory lane, bro. Like, watching these kids post pictures of when they played together in grade school, and I was like, I remember that version of Caleb Ames.
The picture I posted, Caleb Ames. That's a great name to post. That kid has been a great athlete all the way through. He started a little bit slow this year, only because Bodie Puller went off at the beginning of the season. Caleb Ames was an absolute monster for the second half of this season and in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Monster. Love that kid. Absolutely love that kid. All I can think about is the picture of Jeremy Sawyer and Trey Anderson that I posted of those two kids hugging after the Kansas City tiebreaker. Because it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And that's what I think of when I think of Mateo Sanchez, when I think of Seth Caton, when I think of Caleb Ames and Eckerson and those seniors and Jaden McElravy. That's all I think about. I hate it.
Yeah. I have in my head
It took me 3 hours after my last basketball game.
Yeah.
I was at the gym for 3 hours with me and my buddy who I had played with. I'd played basketball with him on the same team since I was in 5th grade. And we sat there for 3 hours talking about our journey. And then our coach came out and was like, "Whoa, what are you guys doing here?" And we're like, I don't know.
Can't let go, coach.
Well, we were honestly like, I don't know. We're trying to process this last 13 years of our lives.
Yeah.
And he took us out to pizza and let us process it a little bit more, even though that was his first year I spent with us. And I don't know, maybe that's a little reason why Curtis Eccles will always be a good coach to me, because he was a good guy to me. Maybe that's why.
Curtis Eccles is a good dude.
Yeah. Maybe that's why. But when I think about these seniors walking off the field last time, it hurts every time. And I can't wait to see what you guys do next year as the junior class. But for these seniors, I'm proud of you guys. And you know for a fact that I am not a Montesano guy. But
no, you're kind of anti-Montesano, really.
But when it comes to local sports, when you get in the playoffs, I am all out. Let's go, Grace Harbor. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll shut it down there.
And I still, like, as I was mentioning, going through my Instagram feed after this was over was really hard. Because then things were popping up and they were showing pictures of, like, them playing together in grade school. And I had this, like, this little pudgy 5th and 6-year-old version of Jaden McElravy. And I was like, I remember that kid. That was a good kid.
Yeah.
When Jaden was in 5th grade and my son Peyton was in 4th grade, Jaden was so good as a leader. He was so good to the 4th graders, helping them along. I could not think more highly of this kid for not only, you know, what he's done as a person and as a player, but just how much he grew over the course of that decade, playing grade school ball and then through high school ball. This is a kid who, as a junior, was thrust into the quarterback position ahead of schedule, proved he was ready for it and could make all the throws, but thought, you know what, there's some parts of my game that I want to change, and went through a full body transformation. And again, I'm going to say this every time I mention it, Jaden was not fat.
No.
He was a big kid, a big, strong kid who thought, I want to work on explosiveness. And he went through a training regimen that made him an explosive running quarterback to the point where at a lot of times, especially when Ethan Blundred was hurt, he was the best runner on the field.
Didn't he lead the team in running this year?
Probably.
I think so.
I would guess so.
Yeah.
I could not be more impressed with this group. I don't think this final effort against Royal is indicative of what they were capable of as a team. I think they should look back on their season and be really proud of what they did. The way they bounced back from the Black Hills loss in week 1, which all made us question, holy crap, how good is this team actually going to be? They reeled off great wins, including one against the number 1 team in the state at the time, Eatonville, against Shelton, against Aberdeen. I think time and time again, these kids proved that they were up for the task of the schedule that they were playing against. And in the end, some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. And there's nothing royal about that city.
Other than its name.
I've driven by it multiple times. I'm going to concur with that.
I don't want to hammer on Royal City because I feel like that's all I've done.
I feel like
I
they
had a
don't
picture-
really care what you think of them.
But that's not the thing. It's called Royal City.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I knew it was a small town and a lot of farmland. But I had a picture in my head of what Royal City was going to look like. And it doesn't look like that.
You thought it was going to be a mixture of Elma farmland and Montesano niceness.
Have you ever seen Descendants?
No.
You know what Oridon looks like?
I said I haven't
No,
seen Descendants.
I felt like there was going to be a castle at Royal City. Instead of a mayor, they would have a prince.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna be back to name our athlete of the week. It's
hard.
It's not gonna be a kid from Royal.
It might
Just
be
throwing
me.
that out there.
It might be me. Royal's really good, though.
It's not gonna
Their
be
team
you.
is really
Actually, we don't even have you nominated, Justin.
I nominated me.
Not you.
No,
or
we don't have you
nominations-
here in the list of nominations.
Andrew, stop talking and play the commercial.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Ole Pen Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
No relation.
What's the A stand for? Jeez, you're getting slow with that. Justin, it is now time to choose our Ole Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
We really only had one local team that won their state game. And
Yes,
that's the
that's
hard
true.
part of this is we had 2 Montesano teams in it, but
Yep.
they both were eliminated.
Yeah. What were
We
the
had
scores
Raymond-South-
of those games, by the way? You didn't mention the scores in the local sports.
Well,
roundup.
the Clajoya game for the Montesano girls was 3-0. I don't actually remember what the Seattle Academy score was.
Okay.
But I
No
know they got
goals,
shut
though.
out in that game.
No goals.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in my mind, we start looking at PWV players.
I have 2 nominations from PWV.
Okay.
So Blake Howard carried the ball 21 times for 120 yards.
That's good. That's a good game.
But from looking through the scoring summary, it doesn't look like he got in the end zone. Mm-hmm. We've got a Garrett Keaton field goal. Cody Strozik blocked a punt and
Also
returned it for a touchdown.
A name I'm familiar with, the Strozik name.
Yeah, and that was a huge play. In fact, that gave PWV an early 10-0 lead when he did that. Then another Keaton field goal. Then what I mentioned was the play before the half ended with 15 seconds left. Colton Fluke passing to Tyson Portman. We have an 8-yard touchdown run by Will Clements. And then a Colton Fluke touchdown run in the 4th quarter. So of the PWV players, I've got 2 main nominations. One being Blake Howard for rushing for 120 yards, leading all rushers in the game. And then the other one being Colton Fluke, who passed for a touchdown and rushed for a touchdown. And he only threw for 76 yards in the game, but he only threw 5 times. And 2 of them were those 2 huge chunk plays, the 2 explosive plays that led to that touchdown to Tyson Portman right before halftime. And as I'm looking at it, Blake Howard also caught 2 passes for 31 yards.
So this is a tough one between Blake Howard and Colton Fluke, in my mind.
Yeah. One gets the nod for touchdowns. The other gets the nod for workhorse and yardage.
Exactly. My thought is I've seen a ton of Colton Fluke throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, we have not picked him to win the Athlete of the Week. I'm also just now finding out that Derek Fluke is his cousin.
Okay.
Because I found an article with both of them named in it. From when they beat Adna last week or a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He threw 2 touchdown passes to his cousin Derek Fluke and ran one himself. I feel like we've kind of shifted Colton Fluke all year.
It's so hard because there's always somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, there's always another player. And with Colton Fluke, a lot of it has been like he rushed for 2 touchdowns and passed for 2, or he rushed for 1 touchdown and passed for 3.
Yep.
And there hasn't always been a lot of yardage or accessible yardage stats to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that. Actually, let me change that. I would not argue. I would advocate that because of the vitality of that touchdown before halftime, which I have pinpointed as an absolutely crucial score in the game that made Raymond-South Bend, who wants to run the ball, have a much more difficult time in the second half coming back.
Yep.
I would agree that Colton Fluke deserves the Athlete of the Week award because not only was he responsible for 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing, but also that he was the one who threw the passing touchdown that was probably the most crucial score of the game.
No, I agree with you. I think it's Colton Fluke. This kid has had a massive season. I also want to give props to, I mean, anytime you're at this point, Final 4 now, you're going to have multiple kids who are ballers.
Yeah.
Blake
Austin
Howard.
Snodgrass had a good game, too, for RSB.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. But for PWV, you have Colton Fluke, you have Derek Fluke, you have Blake Howard, and what is it, Cody Strozik?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got 4 absolute ballers who score points for you.
Yeah, and Tyson Portman also is the one who caught that touchdown right before halftime.
Absolutely. But I think Colton Fluke should be our Athlete of the Week this year.
And that's no fluke.
It's no fluke. How many times do you think he hears that?
I don't know. But a fluke is one of the most common fish in the sea, statistically.
What?
So if you were to go to the ocean and you were to catch one, it wouldn't be a fluke. Isn't that ironic?
I'm so confused. Anyway, what just happened?
You were trying to have a nice moment where you gave a kid an Athlete of the Week award, and I quoted The Office. To ruin it.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Colton Fluke, our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. Colton, excellent week. Excellent season, by the way, because a lot of this week's award goes to your season performance. We've seen it. We've seen your name. We recognize it, man. You've had a ridiculous season. Do we know if he's from Menlo or from Pe Ell?
Congratulations.
Either way, who
One
cares?
of those.
Congratulations. We hope you're from Menlo, though.
Slightly less congratulations. Slightly less congratulations if you're from Pe Ell, but still congratulations.
You're our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. Justin, do we have anything else we want to get to?
No.
Andrew, have we had any comments throughout this episode? I feel like the long
We're
road
competing
trips...
with football. That's part of the problem.
Daniel Langer says that Monty Girls lost both games 3-0.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. Daniel, by the way, is he the coach of the Grace Harbor Gulls club teams?
He kind of runs the program, is the impression I've gotten. And also, definitely coaches as well. But they have multiple teams through different levels of that program.
Right. And that program's been ridiculously awesome. So excited to see what those kids do in the future.
Their 14U team has been completely unstoppable.
Insane.
Last week's Athlete of the Week, Michael Garcia from Hoquiam.
Yeah. Didn't you say he's outscored every other team in the league?
Yeah, so that's some good cleanup because last week I said he outscored some of the other teams in the league, but actually he's outscored every other team in the league.
Get it!
Yeah.
Yes!
Michael Garcia.
That's
Net
awesome.
getter.
Yeah. If we if we certify that, because it's not certified yet, but if we certify that, he's going to be maybe our first certified net getter.
Are we qualified enough on soccer analysis to have that award?
Has that ever stopped us in the past?
I'm a high quality basketball color analyst. So
It's true. It's true.
Sorry,
I played
didn't
soccer
realize
for
you were
13
so
years.
qualified.
a third of your life, more than a third of your life.
I played soccer for 13 years. I figure if we get Daniel Langer on the show at some point,
We probably should do that.
we should. Then we might be qualified to throw out the net getter.
He could just fill in
Right.
for me, and I'll stay home and drink White Claw in my jacuzzi.
What? Why can't we go to your jacuzzi?
It needs maintenance.
What is
You want to
the
record a show from my hot tub?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That would
we
be bad for the
that-
sound
that-
equipment.
no,
I don't care.
We can make that work.
What is the football equivalent to a bucket getter or a net getter? Is that yards or points?
It'd have to have
Tutty getter.
tutties in it.
Tutty? No. Oh, God dang it.
tutty
I just
toucher.
said tutty.
Tutty toucher.
A tutty toucher.
Ugh.
That sounds potentially inappropriate. Like, change one letter, and it's a crime.
Depends on your age.
No.
No, stop it.
depends on
Stop,
consent.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop. 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 Stop it. Stop it. Dear Lord, what happened?
I'm out of control. That's what happened.
So we got net getter, which we haven't assigned
Tutty
to
toucher.
anybody. God darn it. So you've been listening to The Scrimmage. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Ole Penn Real Estate and Law Office of Jeffrey.
Why do you always, whenever I say something horrible, you almost immediately mention the sponsors?
Because I don't know how to get away from what you said quicker. I just want to run away, and that's the first thing that jumps to mind.
This has been The Scrimmage. We are brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate and the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. No relation.
What's the A stand for?
That's my co-host, Daniel the Tutty Toucher Hargrove.
And my co-host, Justin. They finally got our name right on a PA announcement, Domashevitz.
I was pretty impressed by that, actually. That was the best thing they did at
Did
Royal.
they say Domasiewicz?
No, they said Domashevitz.
It's impressive. Wow.
And they said it several times. Every time he made a tackle, they continued to get it right.
How many tackles?
I don't exactly know, but I know that he had 5 or 6 in the second half.
Okay.
I heard his name on the radio.
Yeah. And our trusty producer, Andrew Gross.
You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
Tutty Touchers.
Stop it. No.